Oh no, some scary clown squirted water all over my comics.
Never fear, son! In Colorado, there is one place to go for all your comic needs. Colorado Coins, Cards, and Comics.
Oh boy, thanks Coins, Cards, Comics, man. Oh no, there's a lady hanging off that building. Can you save her?
I can't save her, but you can also save 20% by getting a hold slot at Colorado Coins, Cards, and Comics.
Oh no, she's falling.
Did you know prices are also falling on back issues at Colorado Coins, Cards, and Comics?
Thanks for saving me, Coins, Cards, Comics guy. Now I can buy my son the card games he wants and the sports memorabilia my husband wants.
That's correct, ma'am. Colorado Coins, Cards, and Comics knocks it out of the park. So visit 6700 Wadsworth Boulevard in Arvada, Colorado. They're open Tuesday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. And tell them the Real Nerd sent you.
For barbecue that can't be beat, try Birdman Barbecue Sauce. Available and original and spicy. These robust, full-flavor sauces have the awesome power to kick your taste buds in their face. And for that smoking taste on everything you eat, try new Birdman Smokin' Rub. Caution! Meat left unrubbed may suffer from flavor performance anxiety. You can pick up Birdman Barbecue at local area Ace Hardware stores, Ruff's Barbecue in Golden, and the Danny Cash Hot Shop off Broadway. You can also like us on Facebook at Birdman BBQ.
Happy Friday the 13th, Real Nerds listeners. You won't hear this on Friday the 13th, but today is Friday the 13th. I love the Friday the 13th movies. Brad does too, and I'm always shocked when I find out that Brad likes them, because when you talk to people, they're probably the bottom of the barrel as far as, you know, horror movies, but I like them too. I think they're fun.
Way to just skip over me like I don't like the Friday the 13th.
I know you don't like the Friday the 13th movies. You don't like horror movies anyways.
I really don't like those movies.
And me and Brad have talked about this before, but I don't know what it is about the movies. I just think they're cool. And I love boobs, and there's tons of boobs in them. You know? Anyways, this week on Real Nerds is a kind of a special week.
Yeah.
There is a movie out that we do not want to see. It's the most horrific movie ever released on Friday the 13th.
Amazing Spider? Oh, Ice Age. Yeah.
Ice Age Continental Drift, which we will not be seeing. So this week, we are treating all of you to our wonderful interviews we did at Comic-Con. We were fortunate enough to sit down with 3 amazingly talented artists at Comic-Con at our booth, and we interviewed them, and we are going to play those for you on this episode. But we're still going to do our normal thing. So yeah, sit back, relax, pop open a Yoo-hoo. What am I trying to say? Yoo-hoo? Dude, I love Yoo-hoos.
Who did we talk to?
Dude, we talked to Rebecca Isaacs.
Cool.
We talked to Georges Jonti.
Cool.
And we talked to Zach Howard.
Cool.
Dude, I love them.
They are amazing.
If you don't know who they are, you're about to find out.
Yeah, absolutely.
You will
if
find
you don't
out.
know who they are, you should.
You should definitely pick up their books, because they all, you know what's great about them is they all have their unique style. And what is even more cool about them is they're super nice.
Oh gosh, they were so
nice. They came to us. We didn't have to take
so gracious with their time, and we're totally willing to just whatever. We'll come over to you and talk to you, and it'll be great.
And we'll tell the stories before we do the interviews about how we met them and things like that. But first, let's dive into some box office numbers.
This is the box office stats.
So, guys, you know what the number 1 movie last week was?
Spider-Man.
It was.
Hey.
Dude, it's The Amazing Spider-Man. The Amazing Spider-Man.
Well, you know, yeah, no, you're right.
Over the weekend, it did $62 million, but remember, it opened on a Tuesday, so for the week, it did $140 million.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So,
that's right.
And then it added another 300 and something worldwide, so
What
it's
were
it's
its
a hit.
numbers for like Tuesday and Wednesday? Were they pretty good?
Tuesday, it broke the record for a Tuesday showing
at
$37 million.
How many Tuesday openings are there?
The only one that's comparable is Transformers.
I was just going to say, I know there was a Transformers.
And it's the first one.
It was a Transformers where it started at 8 o'clock on Tuesday, too. It wasn't even just a midnight. They started it earlier than that.
That was the
still
thing
pretty dang good.
that they're saying in the article, that the Amazing Spider-Man is the number 1 Tuesday opening, but if you factor in Transformers 8 o'clock's on Monday with their Tuesdays, they actually did more.
Oh,
but
really?
they counted that as like a preview night.
Oh, weird.
Yeah. So Spider-Man did 37. I think Transformers did 38. But that's with extra showings. So
Yeah, well, that deserves it.
yeah, Spider-Man was awesome.
And
I
it's
saw it
good
3
enough-
times.
You know, it's that's good enough to make it some sequels and such.
Oh yeah, the sequels are definitely coming.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's it for box office numbers because it's the only movie that came out last week and is the
Yeah.
only movie that mattered.
Yeah.
So now, how about we hit up some Blu-ray and DVD releases?
DVD releases and Blu-rays.
Actually, next week is kind of an interesting week in Blu-rays and DVDs.
Yeah.
One I actually do want to get, and people will make fun of me, but I enjoy musicals.
I do too.
Old school musicals. I should reiterate
Guys
that.
and Dolls is one of my favorite movies.
So Singing
Just
in
to
the
throw that out
Rain,
there.
the 60th anniversary comes
oh
out.
yeah, cool.
I'm really interested in getting that. I also kind of want to see it on the big screen.
Yeah, there's that Fathom event where you can go see
but
it.
I think I'm working that day.
Oh,
But or is it Tuesday?
No, it's usually Thursdays. If it's this Thursday, then we're really in trouble.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not seeing it this Thursday.
Exactly. I think it is.
Anyways, and Eureka season 5 comes out. I thought I'd mention that because James did a great job hosting the panel
Yeah,
with Colin
I sat
Ferguson.
there and Craig Ferguson talked, and
Craig Ferguson. I said Colin.
I just said Craig Ferguson because you didn't.
Yeah.
Colin Ferguson.
Yeah.
Colin Ferguson.
So he's really funny. You know, I'd never watched a show,
He
but
is.
sitting in on your panel, dude, I was entertained for an hour.
He
I
is such a nice guy.
Never saw any episode,
Yeah.
but he was just telling the greatest stories.
Hilarious. Yeah.
Lockout with Guy Pearce comes out. You saw that, right?
Yeah. You should rent that movie.
Okay, we'll see. Three Stooges also comes out, which
You should not rent that movie.
I'm probably not going to see it, but it keeps on getting good reviews. I don't.
What?
Yeah.
You should actually. You should. You should make a point to see it because you're that guy who likes those dumb movies like MacGruber. So you should. check
Whoa,
that
whoa,
movie out.
whoa! I think that's
Yeah,
a,
I like MacGruber.
I think that's a hit below the belt, Brad. What do you think?
Yeah,
Can't wait for MacGruber, too.
You heard me say it. You should check that out, and then we can really condemn it. Be like, dude, even Ryan didn't like this movie.
Yeah, sweet. Also,
sorry, that was mean.
Salmon Fishing in Yemen comes out,
I'll
which
see
I kind
that.
of want to see because I like Emily Blunt a lot. Also, Get the Gringo, which is the Mel Gibson direct Blu-ray movie that was never released.
Yeah.
I probably won't see it, but I just thought it was interesting.
Funny story. Last night at trivia, that came up. That movie came up as a answer to one of the trivia questions of
Really?
like it was a whole round on straight to DVD or VHS.
Mm-hmm.
And as he was reading off the answer on the TV screen behind us, popped up an advertisement for Get the Gringo on DVD and Blu-ray.
Wow.
So
Wow.
I
So you got that answer right.
yes. Well, I knew that before he had to read it. So
Yes.
Yeah,
and
fine.
the last one that I'm torn on, which I probably will get, but I might wait till it's like a Black Friday deal or it's on sale for like $10, is Casa di Mi Padre with Will Ferrell. Because I laughed and I kind of want to see it again, but I don't know if I want to spend $24 on it
Yeah.
to get it.
Do you need it on a Blu-ray? Could you just buy a DVD?
I mean, I could get it on DVD, but I'm almost at the point now where I'm just going to get Blu-rays.
yeah, I understand that. I just mean, like,
Yeah,
isn't that movie kind
yeah,
of shot? to be
exactly. I mean, if I
crappy
really
looking?
needed to, if it was for $5 on DVD, I'd definitely get it.
Yeah.
But we'll see. So that is it for Blu-ray releases. Thank you, digitalbits.com. And now it's time to dig in the mailbag.
Fan mail.
We got a couple comments this week. We got one that they commented actually on all the photos you put up of cosplay.
Those were cool.
And they put the goon all excited. And the dude were the best ones. I freaked out when I saw them at the con. That is from AbbeyFit on Tumblr.
Cool.
So thanks for leaving that. Yeah, James spent a lot of time taking pictures of people, and
Yeah.
it was really cool. And that
There were
someone
a
was
lot of good
digging
ones.
through our blogs that are about a month old. That's cool.
If you haven't if you're a listener and you haven't looked through those pictures, you should go check them out. They're
Some
on
of them
the
are really
platform.
cool. I
Yeah.
loved the Green Goblin and Craven.
It was such a shame that we didn't get a picture of you with them because that
I would
awesome.
love to have the Green Goblin trying to kill me. That'd be
And
sweet.
I mean, they were just kids, but I had a total nerd moment when somebody showed up as Aang, Toph, and Korra. All
Yeah, I did
all
see
together, and
those.
The costume was great. Ugh.
Man, that was fun.
Yeah.
Is it next year yet?
All right. Well, between now and then, we have 2 other conventions we get to go to.
That's right. Also, if you're a movie theater and you're listening to us and you want the real nerds to broadcast from your midnight movies, we will do that.
Yeah, we're available for live events,
We are.
emceeing.
We are.
We are.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Like if the Colorado Boulevard IMAX says, "Hey, want you guys to broadcast from The Dark Knight Rises," we will do that.
just sit there and make fun of the movie all night. Yeah.
We can come there, sit and hand out like Dark Knight Rises posters to fans, and like
Yep.
really get the spirit up. And because people are going to be sitting there for, 4 or 5 hours?
And they'll be bored out of their eyeballs.
And they'll be able to sit down on our cast and
Yeah.
talk about why they love Batman.
Really increase the experience, get people fired up,
We'd be happy to do that. So just remember that.
Yeah.
Sure. So we also got another comment on RealNerds.com is about the compatibility with Androids. And since you're the tech guy, Brad, you're the one who's going to have to kind of field that question.
Yeah, we've been iPod-centric because both Ryan and I have iPhones, and James, you have an Android.
Yeah, but I listen. I have an iPod that I use listen to the podcast on. So I've never tested it on Android, so that's why.
Yeah, so we haven't been quite aware of how Android people are accessing our podcast, and obviously it's not working because on our Tumblr page, the RSS link is for the Tumblr page itself with the blogs and the audio, but apparently the audio isn't loading through the feed. So because the actual audio files are on a different RSS feed from nebulousvisions.com. So on the Tumblr page, I posted the question that the person asked, and I added the link that you're supposed to go to get those audio files, that RSS link. And what you have to do with your Android phone is download a free app that reads RSS feeds.
There's all kind of catchers like that, Beyond Pod and things like that you can do on Android.
Yeah, and then use that file path to access all the episodes. So,
cool. Okay. And is that going to be something? Can we put a link on that permanently on the site so it's not just in that article?
Yeah, I'm trying. I think I can take down the RSS link for the page itself because who really needs that?
Yeah.
But and somewhere else, I also have to put the phone number for the voicemail on there.
Oh, okay, cool.
So I'm trying to figure out.
It's a work in progress.
Yeah.
So we're always trying to change things, try to make things better. So it's always gonna.
Yeah. So please hit us with that stuff.
So if you've been missing out because you're an Android user, have no fear. That's how you do it.
And we're still working on all this stuff, so if there's anything that doesn't work for you, or
We're
anything
supposed to
that's
have
a little hiccup for you, or I know that at the con somebody asked about how, can we get you on the Zune marketplace? Well, we've never worked with the Zune marketplace, so we have no idea, but we're looking into it and trying to figure that stuff out. So if you have questions like that, feel free to send them in. We will definitely get back to you because we want to make it as good as we can.
There was supposed to be a Real Nerds app itself that has access to all these things, but it's too friggin' expensive to publish. So
send us money.
So maybe one day.
Until we start that Kickstarter page for the new board and
yeah, exactly.
the app. Yeah.
Hey, time to unspool some real news.
It's real news.
Cool. Well, this week, because you guys are always complaining because I just do sad news.
You're
going to
start with sad news.
No, I'm not. I'm going to let you choose. I'm going to give you a list of words. You pick the one, and that's the one we'll start with. Okay? Here we go. These are our options. Retirement, killer, killed, dead, dead-ish, deadites, and dick.
Deadites.
Okay. Did you guys see that trailer for the Oz movie?
I did. It was awesome.
Yeah. I enjoy it, and I look forward to it. I think it's interesting. The reason I said Deadites is because it's a Sam Raimi movie. And usually we don't talk about trailers, but we do usually talk about Sam Raimi stuff. So
because he's awesome.
Yeah. And I think it's cool, they're doing like the black and white kind of a thing, and that's neat. Mm-hmm. But it's a bit more Alice in Wonderland-y than I was expecting.
It is, but the cool thing about Sam Raimi is he's a way better director than Tim Burton, so it should be visually way cooler.
Yeah, I can see that. I'm just worried that it's not. I thought it was gonna be a more serious, really epic kind of a story, and it feels more.
One shot on there that really got me Sam Raimi mode is those little imps that had the big grin smile that had the sharp teeth.
Oh yeah,
I'm like, that's Sam Raimi humor right there. Totally,
it is.
So I'm sure there'll be something goofy with those.
The flying monkeys look pretty freaking cool.
Yeah, the flying monkeys are pretty cool.
Because it's still practical flying monkeys, or at least it's not practical, but it's dudes in suits as flying monkeys, which is cool.
Nice.
I think it looks cool.
Yeah.
And
it'll be interesting.
And he's such a visual director, and it's the first movie he's shooting in 3D, so it might be pretty cool.
And it's possible because of how well Alice in Wonderland did that they're trying to promote it that way. Mm-hmm. That they want people to think hey, it's going to be like that movie that you all went and saw.
I think so too.
So maybe they're purposely making the trailer look.
Yeah, and you already know the tone's going to be kind of dark and silly. I mean, that's what Sam Raimi does. I mean, his tone is always they're always going to be comedy, and they're always going to be dark moments. And I think almost every one of his movies he has something like that.
I love James Franco, so it's hard. Well, I both love and hate him because he is so prolific. But
he is.
All right. Well, then after this, we'll just start at the top.
Cool.
Retirement. Drew Struzan is coming out of retirement.
Oh, yeah.
Which is awesome.
I read that.
There we go. Now
That is
we're starting
awesome.
with some happy news.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I mean, he was only
Wait. You should explain that in case people don't know who you're talking about.
Drew Struzan. If you're somebody who like is really into movies and you like movies from the 80s, then your favorite movies from the 80s had amazing Drew Struzan posters. He was pretty much exclusively
I love
a poster
Back to the Future.
artist. The Indiana Jones posters, the Back to the Future posters, his poster for The Thing is awesome.
Yep.
And
The Goonies.
the
Fudge.
Goonies. All those ones that are like
Yeah.
they look very realistic, but the truth is they're just painted pictures. And there is a style to him that you can tell a Drew Struzan picture when you see it. They're fantastic, and I've missed them. You know, like I think the last thing he did was Indy 4. I think he had just retired, and he kind of came back out just for Indy 4, and then he retired again. And that's what I was going to say, is that it was a pseudo-retirement anyway. But basically, Mondo Tees, who does all of this really cool art and all these really cool posters for movies, and they've been doing it mostly like they'll get just indie artists and stuff like that to just come up with cool graphic design kind of posters.
Yeah, they're more about graphic design than they are like selling and marketing and identifying with what a focus group decides is what's the best way to sell
which is a
movie.
bummer because some of those Mondo posters are so amazing.
Oh,
Yeah.
they are so cool.
I love the Cabin in the Woods one.
They're so good that like I have never bought one because I'm afraid that if I cross that line where I start buying Mondo posters, then I'll buy every Mondo poster. Like I'll waste all my money on Mondo posters, and I have no wall space left. Like especially after Denver Comic Con, I have no wall space left. It's all just filled with art now.
Where'd you put that John Carter poster I got you?
It's rolled up in a corner somewhere. It may
It's
still be in my
the
car.
It's in his car. I saw it when I put this red bucket in your car today.
That's right. The puke bucket's back in the car. Well, it's because I've got so much like George's Jaunty art and signed comic books and stuff on the wall now, and I live in a very small room, so I'm out of space. Or otherwise, I would hang it just to spite you.
Well, when you get your new apartment or something, then you'll have all the walls to put.
I will frame that crummy John Carter. Oh no, it's a double-sided poster. That's a nice poster. Anyway,
Yeah. Double sided is the only way to go.
Drew Struzan is coming back. Mondo got him to come back and do some exclusive posters for him, which includes they're going to reprint some of the Dark Tower posters that he did. If you've ever seen the movie The Mist, that movie is based on Drew Struzan. In fact, there is a documentary on the disc about Drew Struzan, and he did a poster for Dark Tower just for that movie. So just go check that movie out and watch that documentary because it's awesome, and it's so great to have him back. I can't wait I want him to start doing actual movie posters where I can see his posters in a theater again because they are just gorgeous.
And not just like Lucasfilm or Spielberg posters.
No,
I want to see him do like
And yeah, they've even said
Oz the Great and Powerful or something, you know.
yeah, they even said that he's not just going to be doing that the Lucas and Spielberg kind of stuff, and especially Mondo has been acquiring some pretty interesting rights recently, so it'd be really cool if he was involved in some of that stuff.
It'd be awesome if you did the World's End poster.
Oh yeah. Did you see that World's End poster?
I did.
It was not that interesting. I didn't think.
It's a teaser poster.
Yeah, I know, but it was just like, okay.
But I think it's all the names of the bars that they have to go to on their travel.
Yeah,
On their
I think so,
quest
too.
to get to the World's End bar.
Yep.
Yeah.
Has his cricket bat from Shaun of the Dead.
I know that right now you're playing Assassin's Creed.
I am playing Assassin's Creed.
2. And this week, Michael Fassbender has said he wants to produce and star in an Assassin's Creed movie.
That's awesome.
I think that's great too.
Dude,
I think
sign
he'd
me
be
up for
really good at
anything
that.
for Michael Fassbender.
This is true. Yeah. Anything Michael
Because
Fassbender
he's been
does.
really good lately. Well, I mean, he's
yeah.
only really caught on lately, but I mean,
Yeah.
I buy everything he does.
And the word is sort of that Ubisoft was really unhappy with what Hollywood did with
Prince of Persia.
Prince of Persia, and that
Why?
they are because it was awful.
Because Jake Gyllenhaal played an English accented Persian prince.
that was the least offensive.
Really?
thing
I
about
thought that was the
movie.
most offensive one.
Did you actually see it?
No, I haven't.
I did see it. I sat through that movie, and it's not completely bad, but it's not fun.
Well, that one looked like they're trying to make a Pirates of the Caribbean with Prince of
Oh,
Persia.
totally. That's exactly what they were doing, and it wasn't right at all. It was just sort of boring. Anyway, so they're going kind of indie and getting some indie cred by picking up Michael Fassbender to try and produce this. I think it's a great idea. And
I think
the best
so,
way to
too.
go. If they can get enough with his name, hopefully they can get enough money.
Well,
behind
yeah,
it.
and you
They
can make a
really
historical
badass movie.
drama about an assassin.
Yeah.
You don't have to do that goofy time
Well,
streaming stuff.
they're
but-
going to do the time streaming stuff.
Oh, well.
But what they'll do is they'll have him probably play Desmond and whoever he goes back as.
No,
Whether
that'd
it's,
be cool.
I think it should be an Ezio movie. But if they do go back and do what's his name from Assassin's Creed 1,
that one guy,
it'll probably be
Alistair.
the same. Yeah,
Is that what it is?
it's something like.
Do I remember
Alistair.
that? I remember that from freaking
Asterland.
Aster.
Yeah, whatever.
Esther.
It'll probably be the same. Him
Some
playing both
game
of those
with terrible
characters.
controls.
So, yeah. Anyway, so Denver Comic Con or San Diego.
Yeah,
Comic-Con.
Denver Comic Con.
Yes, Denver San Diego Comic Con, the lesser known of the Comic Cons, started up this week with an I can't. Ah, shoot. There's no good way to start talking about this. Unfortunately, somebody died, like on the first day.
Mm-hmm.
She was crossing the street to try and keep her place in line, and was hit by a car and died, which is awful. And she was 53 years old and a Twilight fan. And I heard about this from Chuck at Mile High Comics. He sent out this really nice email about like how unfortunate this is, and the fact that like what the problem all stems from this them not
It is.
roping off
And-
these streets and all of this.
And I was
not
telling you, me
organizing
and Brad
with
have been to
each other.
Comic-Con, and you have no idea what you're waiting in line for. They don't have any clear signs or anything. And what Chuck says in the email, which is really true, is they really should have an area where they have a sign that says Twilight, Hall H, wait right here.
Yeah.
Then next to it, Iron Man 3, Hall H, wait right here, because
And if
it
they
sucks.
do change something on the fly, just honor the people who have been sitting there.
Exactly.
If you got there first, you know?
Yeah.
Don't just say, oh, well, first come, first serve when we move it over to this door.
And I don't know
It's
what's
like-
more heartbreaking, that she died or she's a 53-year-old Twilight fan.
I knew it was one of those things where it's like this is hard to talk about.
It
Because,
is. I don't want to see anybody die, and
No,
it's,
no.
it's sad, and I hope that the Comic-Con realizes that.
Yeah.
And me and Brad went on kind of an off year. It wasn't even a year where something really big was coming out, right?
Oh yeah. I
I
mean,
gotta
you guys
remember.
went like right before it really exploded.
Yeah, we went right after Dark Knight. The Dark Knight was released, correct?
Yeah, it's 2008. Yeah.
So we went after the Dark Knight. So there was really the following year, 2009. There
But,
really wasn't
yeah.
too big of things, was there?
I'm trying to think what came out in 2009. That Transformers?
Yeah.
I would say somewhere around
some
2009,
Transformers
2010 is when it
So-
really exploded. When it was really like mecca, and you couldn't get tickets anymore because
Yeah.
you guys got tickets like a month or so before
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
opened.
It's
like,
weird.
which is crazy.
Just on a whim, we're like, hey, we should go to Comic-Con finally.
Yeah, like
And
it's
we did
it's-
it.
We did.
You couldn't have gotten tickets 2 weeks ago for sure for this year. But yeah, it's pretty unfortunate, and it's crazy because like last year that guy got stabbed, but that was funny. 'Cause
Wait.
he got stabbed you didn't hear about this?
No, I don't know anybody getting stabs funny, but
He
go
got
on.
stabbed with a pencil and he survived. And it
Oh
wasn't
yeah, I
that
got
big of a
stabbed in the
deal.
eye. Yeah,
Was it in the eye?
yeah.
I thought he just got stabbed in the arm, and I think his eye was okay.
Pencil,
If I
I thought it was
remember
a
correctly, like
protractor.
he was see, that's the thing. Like the stories went crazy. Like it was more rumor than actual fact, and the guy ended up being okay, as I remember. And it was just so crazy that it was like, whoa, this is this fluke, crazy thing that happened at Comic-Con. But for somebody to actually die, yeah, you're right. I think they need to take a serious look
They
at this
do.
and figure out how to do something better. Maybe just kick some of Hollywood out of it and make it small again so that I can go.
They won't.
They won't, because I just want to talk to comic. That's the other thing is that when I do finally go, there's so much shit to do. I don't.
Oh yeah, when we were there,
There's
Artist
not really
Alley, you couldn't fudge. It was tough.
A lot of people died this week. In addition to this, is why I didn't want to pick the order myself because lots of people died. Ernest Borgnine died, which is sad. It was insane when I looked at his IMDb page how much stuff he was still doing over
Yeah,
the
he's
last few
tons.
years. Oh, it's crazy. And he was still fantastic, and it's sad that he won't be in movies anymore. As
The only good thing you can say about it is he lived to be 95, so you got to accomplish a lot. You can see him in a lot of things,
yeah,
and you'll never really run out of stuff for him to see him in.
yep, for sure. Richard Zanuck, who's a producer, died this week. Who
Jaws.
produced Jaws as well as
Who's
a bunch
going
of
to fire
other stuff.
Steven Spielberg?
Dark Shadows.
This year's Dark Shadows? Maybe
yeah,
that's what killed him.
No. Well, he was producing like he produced all the Tim Burton stuff, but he was also producing like the Sam Mendes stuff, like Road to Perdition and.
Oh no,
Dude,
he's a pretty famous producer.
yeah, no. Reign of Fire. The movie's
Dude,
awesome.
I think that movie's cool.
That movie's awesome. Yeah.
It's one of those movies that's really badass that a lot of people don't know is badass.
Yeah. At one point, a dude jumps at a dragon. It's cool. Dead-ish was for some more, I'm sorry, Ryan, but some more unfortunate news about World War Z.
I did read that.
Which is that Drew Goddard has been signed on. I mean, it's sort of unfortunate.
Drew Goddard's a
Drew
good
Goddard
writer.
has been signed on to re-script the end of the movie. In addition, basically, what they're saying now is that Damon Lindelof was approached and
he's too busy.
He had the idea for how they could fix it, but was too busy to actually script it. So Drew Goddard is coming on to write Damon Lindelof's end to the movie, which is, again, it's just too many people touching this movie. Obviously, they're just scrambling to try and get it watchable.
It's based on a book, right?
Yeah.
So the end is already written. So what's the problem?
Well, they skewed from the book so much to begin with that there isn't a way. They can't just go back to the book and be like, it'd be like going back to I Am Legend and realizing like, we can't use the end of this book because we made this movie about not zombies or not vampires.
Have you seen the original ending to that movie?
I have.
It's way better.
Yeah.
It is
I agree.
amazingly better.
Yeah.
I actually think the movie is pretty good, but
I do
the
too.
original ending, I mean, that they shot and focus groups hated, so they went back and made a stupid sunny ending.
This is why you don't listen to focus groups.
Yep.
Yeah.
People don't know what they really want.
Yep, agreed.
And finally, Dick was that Magic Mike 2 is getting, or they're making.
And
they're
finally,
talking about making.
Did you say and finally Dick?
And finally, Dick was the last word that I
you're
gave you.
saying.
They're making a Magic Mike 2, or they're talking about it because it did pretty well. Because middle-aged, middle American women really wanted to go see a movie about strippers, and Channing Tatum wants to make one, and he wants to make it bigger. Get it? Yeah. Actually, the truth is, if they could get Steven Soderbergh to do it, I would totally see that movie.
I thought he was retiring.
Well, yeah. Well, he's either retiring or going into TV or just going to be a painter.
And make another 1,700
And he's also
movies.
going to make more movies, I'm
He
sure.
releases like 3 movies a year.
Yeah.
Coming soon, Magic or Mike.
Just when you thought the dust had worn off.
Here's the thing. The sense of humor that's in that movie, that could totally be the poster.
Sweet.
Anyway.
Coming soon.
Yeah.
Magic or Mike.
Yeah. Anyway, that's the news for this week. Well, Ryan, do you have anything?
I don't. You covered everything. I was going to say that stuff, but I cheat and I look at your list and I'm saying, I'm going to add anything? No, he put everything on there.
And The Legend of Korra got renewed. Just going to throw that in there.
I'm not surprised. Everyone loves that show.
Not everyone. Well, everyone who watches it loves it, but unfortunately it's got low ratings.
On to our brand new segment that's not new. Stuff we've been watching.
So, yeah, this is the stuff we've been watching.
So, guys, guess what?
What?
I totally went and saw Seeking a Friend for the End of the World. It's a new movie with Steve Carell. Have you seen it yet?
I have not, no.
Brad has seen it.
But here's
Yeah,
the
we
thing.
talked about
I
it last-
haven't seen it because everybody who does see it goes, yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's okay. Adam Brody's really funny in it. He plays the
Oh, yeah?
boyfriend of Keira Knightley. He's only in it for like 5 minutes, but he's really funny in it.
I feel like I should like that guy more, and I should see him in more movies than I do.
Because he gets really jealous at a point because Steve Carell comes in to rescue Keira Knightley's character Penny, and he's like, "Oh my God, are you fucking this old guy?" And he punches the wall, and it breaks his hand. He's like, "Oh babe, I broke my hand. That's my guitar playing hand." And then she said, "Don't you play your guitar with 2 hands?" It's funny stuff like that. And that was the only really funny part in the movie. The rest of the movie was a downer. Everything was sad. And
Really?
Steve Carell was. The actors are so good in it. Martin Sheen shows up in it. He's great in
Dude.
it. I love the line where he says, "I just want you to say you're sorry," and then he says, "I'm sorry." Dude, it's great. It's great. But I am going to spoil this movie for you.
Okay.
By the way,
At the end, does everybody die?
so anyways, at the end of the movie, the one thing I do like about it is because it was a focus feature, is they did do the ending of everybody dying.
Yeah.
But what I don't like about it is they made an ending where everybody was dying, and it to me, it's just, I don't know, it's just depressing, and it keeps and I know why that movie didn't do well.
So, like, you like the fact that they had the balls to do it,
But I also
the fact that everybody dies at the end takes away from the movie.
It does, because I don't know. It's,
I hear you.
I think that's why it wasn't popular enough, because
It feels like a comedy, so I'm kind of, half of me is kind of hoping like, oh, it's just gonna be a hoax, and
Yeah.
someone got the
yeah, tonally it's
Like
weird.
the asteroid or
Yeah.
whatever will just barely skip by the Earth, and everybody will go, "Oh man,
So these
I
sort of
have
funny-
AIDS now." Like, yeah, exactly.
or like, what do we
Which
do?
would not be
Like,
funny.
Now we got to solve this problem of all
because-
the chaos we created.
exactly.
Exactly, and Steve Carell and Keira Knightley found out that they're perfect for each other, and where would that go? But I mean, there's there's parts where I commend them for keeping with that ending.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times if it was made at Universal or Paramount, they wouldn't die.
Yeah.
But in this one, I mean, it's scary and it happens. And so to me, I don't know. I'm really torn with this movie because there's parts of it I enjoyed, but
How weird was the guy who hires people to assassinate him?
yeah,
Like,
it's just
that
there's
was a weird scene.
it's just something off. Yeah, the dude who's in CSI, what's his name? William Peterson.
William Peterson, yeah.
Yeah, it's just the whole tone of the movie was bizarre, and the frenzies scene was great with T.J. Miller and Gillian Jacobs.
Now I'm gonna have to use my free ticket to go see this movie.
Yeah, it's probably not there anymore
Oh,
with all the new movies. Well,
This is
Continental
true.
Drift.
yeah.
But I mean, I'd rent it. It's just hard for me to recommend it. It's just such a bummer because But I mean, the performances are so good.
Why release that in the summer? Why not release that in February or January?
Yeah.
Like that's a time when
It's a weird
people
summer
would
movie.
go see that.
And I do give it props too because they had when Steve Carell was flipping through Keira Knightley's records, The Faces, A Nod is a Good Wink to a Blind Horse
Forgot to tell you
was
that.
one of
Yeah.
the records.
I don't know what that is.
It's The Faces' greatest album they ever released from 1971, and it's cool
Rod
because
Stewart's in it.
Rod Stewart's part of The
I was
Faces.
like, what's the face?
The Faces.
Oh,
So yeah, I'd say rent that movie. I do respect them for going with that ending, but I also don't like them because they went with that ending.
Yeah.
I'm really conflicted in the movie. And I was in a theater. I've been going to Denver West since it opened 14 years ago. I've never been in the theater at the very end on the right side. And I finally went to that one. That must be where the movies go to die. Because I used my free ticket to go see it, and I was the only one in the theater. 2 times in both Keira Knightley movies. She must not test well in Golden, Colorado.
And for them to play your free movie, it actually costs them money.
It cost them money for me to be there because I didn't even buy any soda or popcorn.
oh wow.
Because that was my second movie I saw that day. The first movie I saw was Moonrise Kingdom. Hang on, I'm going to get a drink real quick.
He's just gonna drag this out as much as possible because
So-
of course Brad and I have both seen it.
Yes.
and Brad wants to know whether or not you liked it and side with him, or whether or not you liked it but not as much as Brad and side with me.
Okay, I'll tell you. Let me tell you what this movie is really good at. I thought this movie was lots of fun.
Cool.
I loved Edward Norton's character in it.
yeah.
I loved that he opens up and he's goofy and he has a cigarette and he has this routine that he does every morning. What I did not like about the movie is the kids sometimes when they were speaking really pulled me out of Wes Anderson's world.
Okay. Yes, that's what I was saying.
And it's not the lead kids. It's actually the
Really?
kids that are in the
Scout
the
Troop?
scout troop. In particular, there's a couple scenes and a couple lines. There's scenes at the beginning.
like the fight in the woods.
The Fight in the Woods was okay.
Oh, okay.
But at the end, when they're up in the treehouse and they're all thinking about busting him out, and they
Yeah.
have this weird dialogue that works if you're an actor like George Clooney or Bill Murray, but when you're a child and you're green, it doesn't sell it to me.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's that scene where the kids are at Moonrise Kingdom and they're sitting on the thing, and Sam says, "I love you," and she just looks at him and she says, "I love you too." And I thought that was brilliant, and those kids were so good at that part. Yeah, I did. I really liked the movie. I really did. To me, it has a lot of Wes Anderson quality, but what you said is that sometimes the kids pull you out of it because
Yeah. The dialogue is really good, but it is the kind of dialogue that you don't expect from children.
Yeah, and I know that's the point of the movie because they're trying to keep it in Wes Anderson's
Yeah.
realm, but it's
It's-
distracting.
It's sort of his style rather than him trying to
Yeah, exactly.
give that kind of a mentality to
But
kids.
there's some really awesome scenes with the adults when I love when they call social services and Bruce Willis is talking to her.
Oh.
He's like, "Wait a minute, you just want to send this kid to this place?" And then there's this quietness, and then Edward Norton's character chimes in and says, "Who is this?" It's really funny stuff like that.
Oh, this is social services. Yeah, that whole
And was that her
Tilda
character name?
Swinton is
Social
so good.
Services?
Yeah,
that's pretty funny.
Yeah, she never gets a
In
real
the
name.
opening credits, she's
Yeah,
labeled as
social services.
Yeah.
You know what sucked? When I saw it, the credits were cut. Like the framing of the movie was wrong at the beginning.
Oh, those.
Oh,
So,
because the opening credits are pretty dang good.
they are.
The
I mean, it was
opening
cool, and I loved how it was shot. I mean, Wes Anderson, you said it earlier, has an amazing eye for placement in his frames.
and
where they're-
symmetry.
Yeah,
And
it's,
I don't even know that I've ever seen him pay attention to symmetry this much. Like it was a thing that he did the way that oh crap, what's his name? The guy who did 2001. Wow,
Kubrick.
Like Kubrick always did symmetry, but it was more like just making sure that things were in balance in the
Yeah.
frame. Like here, he will specifically make sure that every shot is symmetrical, and then when things go wrong in the movie, things get asymmetrical, and like it was almost distracting how much he was paying attention to it, but it's so cool.
yeah. The movie, I thought the movie was really good. I don't know if it'll be in my top 10. It could be.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna have to watch it again.
Teaser for our end of the year top 10. Stay tuned to find out
Yeah,
where
stay
it is.
tuned for my top 10 4 months from now. But yeah, the movie was funny. I had a lot of fun watching it. I really did. It went by really quick. The movie moves really quickly.
Yeah,
I
the
think-
second time I saw it, it was like, oh, it's over already.
I think what we can definitely say is, as much as we have sort of gone back and forth about this movie, you should go see this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's
No, I
really
agree.
good and a fun time, and something that people should check out.
I agree, and it's kind of cool seeing that what is so wrong with what these kids were doing. I
Yeah,
mean, it's
exactly.
not. And even the kids, when they had that really clumsy scene on the top of the treehouse, they were saying, why are we mean to this kid? We
Yeah.
have no reason to be mean to this kid, and they're right. And it's
Everyone's operating in a world where they've just like grown up doing things a certain way, and like they're so stuck in this rut of their lives. It takes this event to snap everyone out of that zombie. Just like
the thing with Wes Anderson movies with me too is it takes me a long time to get into them.
Yeah.
But this one, for some reason, I got pulled in right away because it started with the guy who was just describing the island.
Yeah.
And
Bob Balaban.
And that one scene where his foot was raised up on a rock and he was all uncomfortable how he was standing. I was like, okay, I'm back into Wes Anderson's world.
So good. And I love that line about the kids, not figuring out why are we being mean to these kids. To me, also has this meta context of oh well, because you're the sort of cliched archetype of mean kids who have to be mean to these characters, otherwise there's no plot. And so this moment when they realize, it's great. You're like,
Jason
oh, yeah, why
Schwartzman
are
was
you-
great in the movie too.
Oh yes. Go over there and talk about it, and then come back.
Or to the terrible CG when Edward Norton jumped across the the river, I guess, on purpose. That was really funny.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And I do want to ask you though, what do you think about the thing that happens at the top of the hill, at the end of the movie?
at
the
the
top
end
of the hill.
Yeah,
Top of the
when they're out in the field, when they're all getting chased and they're out in the field,
Oh,
and
and
then something happens.
he gets. Well, we've all seen
Yeah.
it. We can spoil it, right?
Not everybody's seen it. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Did you?
Oh, yeah,
did
that
it
was
strike
that
you
was
as
weird.
Yeah, okay.
It was weird.
It's one of those events that I was just like, why
Is that
does-
thing you were talking about last week? Because I thought you were talking
Yeah.
about at the church. Was
No,
the
no,
Fantastic Mr. Fox type?
Not the part of the church. No. Yeah, I'm talking about earlier in the field when he first gets hit.
Oh,
That was a real weird part.
Yeah, I don't know. I
don't know-
why
I don't know
it's
what the
there,
point
and
of him
and him coming
getting
back
hit
up
by
with
that
just
was.
black makeup on. I'm like, well,
it's just humorous. Yeah.
I
It's
guess.
just a bit-
It
it's just-
felt out of place.
Again, it's
like,
Wes
oh,
Anderson being Wes
yeah.
Anderson. I don't
Anyway.
try to understand all his stuff.
I just try to enjoy it, and usually it's pretty easy to.
And still my favorite Wes Anderson line from a movie is in Royal Tenenbaums, where Bill Murray says he looks pretty good for a suicide. Just I love how he delivers that line.
Yeah, that's good.
And so go see the Moonrise Kingdom. It was pretty good. And the last thing I saw is I'm on this bender of watching classic movies, and I watched Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein.
Oh, dude.
Dude, and it is fucking brilliant.
Yeah. No, it is.
I love that movie. I was laughing my ass off last night. Laura came in. She's like, "What are you watching?"
I haven't seen that since I was 12. I watched it on TV
And
once.
dude,
it is
is
so good.
brilliant. And it's because those guys are so smart, and that Abbott has to play the straight guy, but he still has funny lines, and Costello's just all over the place. And and what's great about it too is it plays on all the tropes that of these classic monsters. Dracula with him covering his face with his cape, and Costello being like, "You didn't see the." You can't see what I'm doing, but it's fucking brilliant.
It's
and
him mimicking Costello,
Yeah.
mimicking monsters.
Yeah, it's freaking brilliant. I can't believe how much I love this movie. My father always told me I should watch it because I told him I got the Dracula Legacy collection just recently, and my father's like, "You have to see Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein," and I said, "Oh, I don't know. I mean,
Oh, Dad, you're old.
you're old. What do you know?
No.
No, this movie is brilliant, and there's so many parts that are just manic and that you don't think would be in a movie released in 1948 because the comedic timing is so quick and so not slow building. Like Some Like It Hot's a great movie, and it's from 1968. No, way earlier than that. 58. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And it was a little slower moving. This one was like slapstick, and when Costello's like the short fat guy, even though he's not really that fat, but he's the short fat guy, and the hottest chick in the movie is in love with him because she wants to steal his dim-witted brain to put in Frankenstein so Dracula can easily control Frankenstein. And then another hot insurance lady is trying to trick Costello into seeing what happened to the crates that contain Dracula and Frankenstein's monster, and so they want to take him to the masquerade ball, these two hot chicks, and Abbott can't believe it. There's a great line where Abbott says, "Come over here for a second," after this girl Joan wants to take him to this masquerade ball as well. And he pulls up the blind, and he's like, What do you want?" He's like, "Oh, I'm just making see so when I see you in light, I'm not missing anything," like how ugly he is. And it's brilliant. And Lon Chaney's great as a Wolfman in it. Oh, dude, I fucking love this movie. Like, Lon Chaney shows up as Talbot, and he wants to be locked in the hotel room because if he gets out, he causes problems, murders people.
Yeah.
And so Costello's put in charge of keep him locked in, but then he realizes he leaves his suitcase in his room. So he goes, unlocks the door, and he's going to put his suitcase back in, and obviously Talbot isn't there, and he's already turned into the Wolfman. So he goes in the back, and the door for the bathroom slowly creaks open, and Costello walks by and shuts it, and it's the Wolfman. And then he's like, "I know, I'll leave him a note. Dear Mr. Talbot, I left your bag," and so the Wolfman's about to creep in on him. He's like, "Wilbur, ... And then he moves, and the Wolfman tries to jump and get him, and he can't. It's awesome. You should it's on Netflix. You should watch Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. It's brilliant. And that's what I watched.
Cool.
James?
Well, I finally got back onto my David Mamet train, which I've been getting close to the end of. And
Really?
I actually am. I mean, there's a lot of stuff left that I could watch and would like to watch, but some of it's really hard to find. Like, you can't get, I really want The Spanish Prisoner on DVD or Blu-ray. You just can't get it anymore. That movie is one of the best heist movies of the last 30 years or so. You should, if you have never seen The Spanish Prisoner, desperately try to find it. You can rent it on Netflix, but you can't get it on Amazon. Anyway, this week I saw one of the smaller David Mamet movies. I actually saw two, but American Buffalo is based on one of his plays, and it shows because the entire movie takes place inside of this antique shop that is owned by Dennis Franz's character, who's named Don. Dennis Franz is the guy, like the stocky bald guy from NYPD Blue. You know,
see his
that
ass
guy?
all the time. Sipowicz.
Yeah, yeah. So he owns this shop, and Dustin Hoffman is in it as well, and the two of them are friends, and they're like local thieves, local sort of crime guys. They don't have a lot of money, but they're always looking for that next little job where they can just get a few $100s, some kind of thing. And basically what happens is this guy comes in and buys this buffalo penny, it's a nickel, buffalo nickel off of Don from the shop, and just drops $90 for it and leaves. And the guy's like, "I don't know what this was, but clearly it was worth way more." Like, he's pissed because he's like, "I've been had. Like, this guy got this for $90 and it was clearly worth more than that." So he's gonna. The whole movie, it's a little less than an hour and a half. The whole movie is just them planning a heist to break into that guy's house and steal that nickel back. And there's really only three characters. So the entire movie is just the dialogue between Dustin Hoffman, Dennis Franz, and this kid, Bob, that they're sort of training up to be a thief like them. And it's just fantastic. Like, it sounds like it would be boring because it's really just dudes talking about a heist that shouldn't be that hard. But the dialogue is so snappy, and they're bouncing around and talking about different things all the time that you are totally engrossed. Like, I started it, and I was playing Batman Arkham City at the same time, and I put down down Batman and was like, no, this is awesome. Like, I am totally in this movie. It was so good. You can get it on Amazon Instant Streaming. So just do that, because
Sure.
it's with an hour and a half. Like, you can't find a better sort of a drama than this. And it is really that, because you never see the heist. The heist is not in the movie. It's just about them setting it up and figuring out, and when them thinking that things go wrong. And Dustin Hoffman is just amazing, because he sort of teaches like this. At first you just think he's sort of pathetic, and then you realize that he's a little bit out there. Like, there's something in him that's just a little bit broken, and that transformation is really cool to watch. And the end is fantastic. I would love to see this on stage at some point. I think it would be so cool, and it's staged so well that it's one of those that like you don't even know how you would really do it. And then, because I was so enthused about American Buffalo, I thought, I'm gonna watch another one. There's a movie of his that's also based on a play called Edmund that's on Netflix. You can watch it instantly on Netflix. And it stars William H. Macy, and it's got a bunch of other little cameos in it. And it's basically about this guy who has sort of a mental breakdown at the beginning of the movie. He has his like tarot cards read to him, and they're all just awful. Like, they're just the worst. And he goes home and tells his wife that he thinks she's boring, and then he just walks out the door and says, I'm never coming back. And the first half of the movie is kind of entertaining in like a sick and twisted way, because he's just wandering around. Like, he goes to a strip club because he wants to get laid, and he actually gets the stripper to say, like, yeah, if you give me this amount of money, I will take you upstairs to a room, and we'll do whatever.
It's like falling down.
Well, it is. It's totally like falling down. But then he's like, no, I don't want to pay however much you want to pay. Mostly just because she was like, well, you give me $50 and then you pay this girl $50 for a drink. And that way that money goes to the people here. And he's like, no, I want to give you the money. I don't want to give her the money. Like, he's not even arguing about the cost. He's just arguing about who he's giving the money directly to. And then he runs into this pimp on the street, and he argues with that guy and has a fight with that guy. He goes to a peep show and argues with Bai Ling, who is of course the stripper, because she shows up every time you need somebody fucking crazy to take their clothes off, and argues with her. But then it totally explodes and goes to these weird places, and I did not like this movie at all. It doesn't have the snappy dialogue, because it's mostly just him going and doing these things, and he's quiet most of the time, and the things that he says sometimes are kind of funny in context, but it's not that entertaining. And by the end, I didn't know what I was supposed to be getting out of it anymore. I was just like, I don't know what your point is. So I would avoid this movie, to be sure. It's going to be probably at the bottom of my David Mamet list when I finally do it, which is a shame.
There always has to be one.
Yeah, no, I know. And I was on such a good streak, especially after American Buffalo, because I loved that so much. Like, because I started forming the list since I know I'm getting close.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I got to rewatch Untouchables, and I got to rewatch The Spanish Prisoner.
It's crazy because you get in a mode where you like somebody so much, like I did with
Yeah.
Robert Downey Jr., where you say, this guy can't make anything wrong. Then you watch In Dreams, you're like, he can make
you get to one, and you're like, oh, man.
And then I find out, it's really not his fault that the movie's bad, but he can't save the movie.
Yeah.
And, oh, yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. Like with Ronin, I don't think is a good movie, but that movie is like, there's another script writer, and then the director obviously messed a lot of it up. So it's like, I can give him a lot of leeway. This one was, a play written by David Mamet, a script written by David Mamet, directed by somebody else, but that doesn't matter. So it's just like, oh, okay. Every now and then he's going to do a bad one. That's got to be okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, but American Buffalo, I was like making the list out, and it was going to be like pretty close to the top. I was like, I got to rewatch, Glengarry Glen Ross and find out if I think American Buffalo is better. But anyway, I also this week still watching The Dark Knight, or I rewatched The Dark Knight. And that movie's still great. Still watching Batman. It's still good. I started watching West Wing, but only am a couple episodes in, and spoilers for whenever I do talk about it. But oh, dude, what? It's really good. But the last thing I want to talk about was, I didn't talk about this last week, Mostly because I forgot, but also because we were trying to do a kid-friendly episode, so maybe it wouldn't have been smart to talk about Magic Mike. But I did go see Magic Mike.
With my wife.
Yeah. Well, the assumptions that other people were making that we were together were probably okay. It was when we started holding hands that was a problem.
That's just inappropriate.
Yeah, it really is. Man. What kind of weird relationship do we have that I was able to make that joke and not get punched in the face? I would have deserved it. Anyway, everybody knows what Magic Mike is about, and it's pretty good.
Is it really?
Yeah, it is. There is a lot of stripping in the movie, and some of the scenes I think go on too long. They feel like we had an old lady in our audience who was just sitting a little behind us and to the right, who every time there was stripping going on, she would like start clapping her hands and go, "Woo! Woo!"
I guess they really did make it an event movie, didn't they?
They did, yeah. Like, and the audience was full of, nothing against them, but middle-aged women.
Were you the only
in
dude
parties. No, there was another dude who bought his ticket right, like a couple people in front of us. He was alone.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah. I felt
I mean, it's
bad for
okay
him.
if you're gay.
But have some gay friends.
Yeah,
Take your gay
totally.
friends with it.
Now you're just looking at Matt Bomber because,
It was weird.
because he's gay in real life.
Anyway, I don't think the movie is what people think it is. And in fact, if you cut out the stripping, it would be a pretty serious movie about this guy who is in his 30s and realizes that he is a stripper and has all his hopes banked on this one thing happening. And you realize, Steven Soderbergh does it in a really great way. And I guess really the screenwriter, whose name is Reed Corolin, does this, but he sort of reveals that to you slowly. Like, at first you think, like, dude, this guy's really got things together, and then you realize, like, oh, this really is the only thing he's got going. And even though he's got all this potential to do other stuff, he needs to be successful at stripping in order to get there. And that is just like this. He's on this journey to really try to figure out who he is. Like, he's 30 and he's got to do something else. And at the same time, he's falling in love with this girl that he has just met. And it's
Who I don't think's that cute.
She doesn't need to be. Here's the thing.
Yeah, she does. You see Channing Tatum, hottie with the body.
No, part of why I like the two of them together is the fact that, like, she is not some, like Olivia Munn is in this movie, and if it were her, I would totally find that sort of annoying that, like, oh yeah, you got some.
But you don't like Olivia Munn, so that's not very fair.
I really don't. But you know what I mean? Like, the fact that she is this sort of normal-looking girl. And she's not. I don't think she's unattractive.
Oh no,
I
I
think
didn't
by
say
comparison
that,
to like Hollywood stars,
Jennifer Aniston.
Yeah, exactly. If it were Jennifer Aniston, I would find that annoying. Anyway, I would say that people should see this movie.
I got another free movie ticket. Should I use my free movie ticket for Magic Mike?
No, what you should do is you should rent this movie and then fast forward through the stripping. Because I do actually think the biggest problem with this movie is the stripping goes on so long that it sort of detracts from the movie. You lose the story for a little while because it is like here's a stripping sequence. And it's not terribly vulgar. It's really just dancing. Eventually, like, there is some butt, but there is no actual nudity in the movie. Well, Olivia Munn is, but as far
she's
as like,
naked in it,
yeah.
Oh,
as far as
see
like dude frontal, there is no actual nudity. Like,
oh well, now
silhouettes
you
and
just
stuff.
lost me. First you said
But-
Olivia Munn was naked. I'm going to see it, but now you said there's no
There's
dick
no
in
dick,
it, so
why
I'm
even
not
go?
going to go.
But yeah, like, I think if you could not see those sections, because I think they take away from the movie.
Really, so it doesn't feel organic that they're in it, is what you're saying, basically.
No, because they're sort of on a. They feel like they're out of a different movie. They feel very un-Steven Soderbergh because it's all of a sudden there's just lights and dancing and stuff, and it goes on for a while. I sort of expected that they would do a few, and then later it would be a thing where when one would start, they would go out there and then would cut away to something else, that kind of thing. I also expected that at some point they were going to condemn the women in the audience that were watching the guy strip, but they also never do that. Like, that is not what he's interested in doing. The truth is he is not interested in the stripping at all. He is interested in this story about this guy trying to find himself, and so am I. But there's a lot of stripping. There really is, and it kind of goes on. And maybe it's because I am a dude who has never been to a like chick strip club.
You haven't?
But no, I haven't. but that's because I'd find it in no way appealing at all.
They're not. I went for my bachelor party, and I
Yeah.
really didn't want to go. I remember I was telling Brad, because Brad came to the Avalanche game with me at my bachelor party. I'm like, dude, I do not want to go to the strip club because one, you get stuck there, and they're all like, they're just gross.
Yeah. And so maybe it's my mindset that, like, I see all of these women going in there and acting all crazy and getting drunk and, like, swooning over these, beefed up guys. And I think, like, this is just gross. And I sort of expected there to be a moment where somebody said, like, you understand how sad and gross this is, right? But nobody ever does that. I also wanted that to happen just so that the lady who was screaming and clapping would get her comeuppance. There was
Be
a
like,
moment.
this movie's so meta, it's just for you.
There was a moment where the characters in the movie are really excited because they just got some beachfront property in Miami, and they're cheering, and she cheered, and I was like, "You don't have beachfront property in Miami, woman. Why are you cheering?"
See, people like that don't bother me in movies, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
well, but here's if she were Latin, no, this would have bothered you. It really would have, because it wasn't like the whole audience was really into it and was cheering. It was like, here's this one lady who is just cheering because there's dudes on screen. Like, it was weird. It was not cool. Like, if people are laughing in a movie or cheering or whatever or clapping, that I think is fine. But this was, I don't know, like, because dudes don't do that. When and it's every movie.
dude,
there's some
obviously you're not
half-naked
old
chick.
enough to be at Showgirls when it came out, but man, I was like, woo! Yeah! I've never seen Showgirls. I don't know.
Yeah,
That's the only thing I can compare it to.
striptease.
I've never seen Striptease either.
I haven't either, but I assume that in striptease there's lots of stripping.
Probably.
Yeah. Anyway, so if you like that, go see Magic Mike.
I do love dude stripping.
Laura, you liked it, right? Laura says it was okay.
Cool. So, Brad, what have you been watching? Or is that it? Sorry, James.
Yeah, that's it. Oh, and at the end of the movie, that crazy lady, she was asleep. We're pretty sure she was, we're pretty sure. No, she was breathing. I just think she was on drugs. So, yeah.
By old lady, how old?
I don't know. She was 60.
Excuse me, miss.
Yeah. Laura's saying she was either late 50s hard life or early 60s. Yeah.
Or she got so excited and was clapping and cheering that she gave herself a heart attack, and you guys just left her
She was-
lying dead.
She was old enough that, like, she had those real skinny arms where there was loose flabby stuff. Yeah, exactly. It was like, what? But she was really tanned. I don't know. She does drugs.
James, who are you texting during our fucking podcast, dude?
Ryan.
Dude, rude.
Well, he texted me. He wanted to know if I'm busy. I was going to say, yeah.
What
I'm
a
sorry.
jerk.
Brad, what have you been watching?
I saw Ted again, and I
Really?
watched Nick Swartzman's Pretend Time, and they're both funny. I'm done.
Pretend Time is his show, right?
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
Sketch comedy show.
That show is pretty good. I've seen
Stuff like Rosa Parks getting eaten by sharks, and
it. That's not funny.
wheelchair cat, trust fund kitty. Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Ted, we've already talked about. It's still good.
Yeah, still good. Although the audience wasn't great.
Really?
It's prompted me to go on a crusade to visit movie theaters and study the audiences and do a survey of asshole audiences.
We're treading on real
Do
racist ground.
an unsolicited survey. Just go in there and, without anybody's
I want
knowledge.
to take a folding chair, sit in the very front, face the audience, and just watch throughout the whole movie, taking notes.
Yeah.
Like, okay, row 3, talking. Checking cell phone, row 5.
But you got to kind of announce it. Say, hi, I'm here. I'm from Regal Entertainment. And
no,
I'm
screw that.
No,
I'm gonna
'cause then
creep the
they'll
hell
act-
out of those people. They've ruined movies for me. I'm going to ruin it for them. With my creepiness.
I'm trying to watch Breaking Dawn Part 2 when Bella fights a cougar. And this man is staring at me and taking notes.
I am kind of. I've been afraid lately that we're going to grow up to be those people who like don't go see movies in theaters.
Oh, no,
Just
I'll
'cause I'm
still
like,
see 'em.
Dude, I have a big TV. Why would I?
I have a big TV right now, and
Yeah.
I still enjoy going out to watch movies.
And then here's the thing: when an audience is good, it makes the movie better.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I've never laughed harder at Pulp Fiction than when I saw it in theaters.
Or like, when episode 1 came out, like, just,
Yeah.
cheering before the movie.
Yeah, exactly. I love a great audience.
Yeah.
It might just be like at a certain point I stop going to midnight
When everyone's
showings.
on the same wavelength with like a good joke, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
What you
Like
guys
Ted.
need to do is go see a Keira Knightley movie. The mid-afternoon during the week, and you'll have the whole theater to
Or
yourself.
Creature.
So Pirates 5.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. That's
Cool. All right.
That's all I got.
Cool.
Sorry.
So this week, it's James' turn on...
What's up, nerds? It's the Comics Corner.
That's my setup for Brad. I mean, Joe.
Yeah. What's up, nerds? It's the Comic Corner. Oh, gosh, that never gets old. But this week, first of all, I have to just say I just got an email from Amazon saying that my Lock and Key Volume 5 Clockworks is
Nice.
in the mail. So,
Yeah, when you're done reading that, you should let me read it.
yeah. I'll probably just bring it right to you because obviously I've read it. But that's not the comic for this week. The comic for this week, and also not the comic for this week, is Walking Dead number 100, even though it was awesome. And if you're reading Walking Dead, you already know. But the comic for this week, because we've never done it, and we're doing an interview with Zach Howard, is The Cape. It was based on a story by Joe Hill, and the art is obviously by Zach Howard, and the script is by a guy whose name I don't know how to pronounce, but Zach will pronounce it well for you. And it's about these two brothers who, when they're kids, one of them has this cape that he is given. We're sort of learning how he gets it now, but it actually makes him fly, and he falls and breaks his arm on a tree and then loses the cape in the basement for a while. And when he grows up, he has this horrible day where his girlfriend breaks up with him, and he's really an asshole. Like, he has grown up to be a horrible person, and he finds the cape in the basement, and it makes him fly. And the tagline for the book has always been, you will believe that a bad person can fly, after the Superman tagline. And it's really just... It's this story about what would happen if you gave superpowers to a complete jackass. And surprisingly, that is a whole lot of fun. And we talked to Zach about just how much fun it must have been to do the art, because the art is amazing, obviously. And you will get to see things that you didn't know that you really wanted to see. Somebody drop a bear on somebody else. But you did. And you will see it, and it's awesome. Or face down a plane with a chainsaw. That kind of shit. Like, he is crazy. And it won, or it didn't win, it was nominated for an Eisner for the very first issue, which was really, like, the whole first story arc is that in the first issue, and then they built it into a whole trade, which you can pick up now. IDW just about a month ago came out with a trade for it, and of course it's an IDW trade, so it's beautiful.
Yeah, the cover's sweet.
It's so good. You just go pick this thing up. You know, it's one little trade. You'll love it. It's just so much fun. And when you finish that first issue, you'll just be like, oh man, you get that last line of that last page, and it kills you. So go pick up The Cape. And I should say this week they also came out with The Cape 1969,
I was gonna say that.
which is the first issue, or actually it was last week, the first issue of a prequel series that they're doing. The art's not by Zach Howard, but it's still really good. So that's it's a story that takes place in Vietnam with his dad, where he is obviously going to get the cape at some point, but at this point he doesn't have it. But it's pretty good. Yeah.
And also, too, we should say that Zach Howard is a really prolific cover artist.
Yeah.
He just did a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cover that's pretty badass.
That's right.
Oh, yeah? I haven't seen that
it's a
one yet.
really rare one. It's 1 in 25, 1 in 50, something like that.
Yeah.
It's really cool, and he did a lot of just random covers. Kind of did some research on him a couple weeks ago.
He did a few issues of an Alien series that they did, and he did the Shaun of the Dead adaptation. Does a lot of like Godzilla covers and such. He's fantastic. I love his line work. His line work looks a lot, I think, like a sketchier Gabriel Rodriguez, which I think is why Joe Hill sort of got with him. But yeah, he's one of those guys that I don't know why he's not a whole lot bigger than he is. He is so cool.
He doesn't want to be, kind of.
Yeah, well,
listening
right
to his
now
interview,
he's got that freelancer sort of freedom.
He does,
you know?
yeah, because he even said that he doesn't want to do a monthly book because he doesn't want to be contained to doing it. He likes the beginning and the ends of stories.
He's so cool. So you'll get to hear us talk to him very tired a little later on in the podcast.
Yeah. So This is kind of cool. We were really fortunate when we did Denver Comic Con a little over a month ago, or
has it
just
been
about
that
a month
long?
ago.
Wow.
We had the privilege to sit down with 4 special people. We're going to do 3 of the interviews this week.
All of the comic book
All
artists.
the comic book artists we're doing this week. And I also want to take this time to tease our next week episode, which is The Dark Knight Rises. And we sat down with the executive producer of Batman for over 30 years.
Yeah.
Michael Uslan sat down with us exclusively at Denver Comic Con. He didn't sit down with anybody else. He pulled me and Brad into his autograph booth, and we sat down with him and talked to his son. It was awesome. So I wanted to tease that, so, to whet people's appetites for not only The Dark Knight, but our amazing interview with Michael Uslan. Well, actually, my interview with him, and Brad's one question.
You bastard.
That I totally put him on the spot because we were running out of time, and I was like, "Hey, Brad, ask him a question about Batman."
I was going to say the question, but I'm going to leave it for next week.
If
Yeah,
he's-
the
if he's
question
got a
is
radio
awesome.
antenna in one of his ears, what's in the other ear?
And in fact, I think Brad asked him a question that was not Batman related.
Ooh.
So stay tuned for that. And if you read his book, The Boy Who Loved Batman, then you will know what Brad is talking about.
Yep.
And you should read his book, The Boy Who Loved Batman. Anyways, to get to this week's episode, the first interview we did at Denver Comic Con was Rebecca Isaacs. Rebecca illustrates Angel and Faith, which is a great book on Dark Horse. And you introduced me to it. I don't know why I didn't pick it up because I'm such a Buffy fan.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It kind of just flew under my radar.
Yeah,
And you
because
said
I think people sort of treated it like it was a spin-off, but it is not at
No,
all.
not
I
at
mean,
all.
It takes maybe the most interesting fallout out of the end of season 8 and makes a whole story out of it. And
Hey,
it's
guys, I've
fantastic.
never watched Buffy before. You guys talking about a Christian book?
a what?
What's Angel and Faith to
Angel-
those who are not reading the book?
It's Angel and Faith from the Buffy
Buffy.
universe, and they were off trying to resurrect a certain character who may or may not have died at the end of season 8. And it just what they're dealing with, and the fact that they're dealing with it in a world without magic is just so cool.
Well, I mean, we can spoil it. 'Cause
And
we do spoil it when
it's
we
spoiled
talk
'cause
to
we talk
George's
about it
John
with-
Teeth.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically, Angel and Faith is a comic book. At the end of season 8 in Buffy the Vampire Slayer comic books, Angel kills Giles. Giles is the father figure to Buffy and is kind of the voice of reason throughout all of Buffy.
Yeah.
Angel was possessed, I guess.
Sort of.
Sort
I
of.
don't know.
It's really confusing, but he was basically a bad guy named Twilight, which he really wasn't Twilight, but he was Twilight.
Yeah.
And he killed Giles. At the
Spoke
end,
his
too,
neck.
they also get rid of all magic, so vampires live in the open, and there's...
and they're crazy because they don't have demons in
yeah,
them.
they're crazy because they don't have
And,
demons, and Drusilla shows up, and she's
there's no way-
sane.
Yeah. Oh, gosh, it's so good.
If you're a Buffy fan, you know what we're talking about.
Here's
Sorry
the thing:
if
if you're a Buffy fan and you're like, if you're tuning into this because you saw George's Jonty's name and you're like, oh, I got to see this because I love that book. If you're not reading Angel and Faith, you are missing half of the Buffy story.
Exactly.
I mean, it's amazing. You have to go get this book
because
period.
it also deals with interesting questions where why did Giles leave Faith all his money and his house?
And I talk about this with George's as well. The core of this book is Giles. Like the heart,
Exactly.
The heart of Buffy is the heart of Angel and Faith because it's dead in the Buffy book. So you
and
what?
it's up to Rebecca Isaacs to illustrate it.
exactly.
It is
There's a
up to
lot of weight
Rebecca.
on this, and the pages are like the writing is great. The pages have to be just as good.
And I will say that Rebecca's become one of my favorite artists just because I love her line work. She uses really thick lines
yeah.
to illustrate. And I was showing James issue number 10 is 11.
It's 11 because
It's
it's
11.
storyline. That's one of the best covers
and
I've
her-
seen on this book.
She just draws so well, and it was so nice to meet her. And she's really funny, and she's really cute. And so, yeah, sit back and enjoy The Real Nerds with the talented Rebecca Isaacs. Hi, I am Ryan of Real Nerds. I am with James.
Hi.
And we are with someone very special. We're with
Absolutely.
Rebecca Isaacs, who is an
Hi.
amazing artist on Angel and Faith.
Didn't I recently call that my favorite ongoing series?
You did.
Right now.
You did. And that's
Yeah.
why it's a really big honor that we have her
This
here.
is crazy.
And James introduced me to the book, and it's fantastic.
He was a big Buffy fan, but not reading Angel and Faith. And we're going,
Exactly.
What
I
are you
know.
missing?
He smacked me
Nah.
upside the head. And James is here, and he was really excited to have you on the show, and we're very excited. And James has prepared
Thanks
a
for
lot of
having me.
questions, and he's a huge fan.
They're professionally scrawled out on this note that I have.
On this note, so I'm
Anyway.
going
They
to
do
shut
look
up.
very professional.
I'm going to let James talk and Rebecca talk. Thank you so much for being on our
Yeah,
show.
thank you so much.
It's
Thanks for having
amazing.
me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming to Denver. It is so great to have people. Usually people treat us so much like a flyover state. That it's cool to have like a con here and some real people come here that we can be excited about. I want to start off with a hard-hitting question. How do you get a cat named Fantastic Donut?
You write a bunch of your favorite things on strips of paper and throw them in a hat and then randomly select them. My fiance kind of cheated because it was supposed to be all nouns.
Yeah.
So, like-
but obviously there was at least one adjective in there.
Yeah, he put fantastic in. So, but I let it slide because
Yeah.
it sounded so great. Some of the other ones, we actually chose 3 and then picked our favorite out of the
Right.
3. One of the others was Tom Brady, Jeff Goldblum, and that was just a little too clunky. And and the other one was how family friendly is this podcast?
Oh, it's on the internet.
It's
You
on
say
the
whatever
internet.
you want.
We're explicit.
The
Yeah.
other one was Japan Boner.
Oh man, it's hard to. That's the thing, though. Anytime that cat does anything wrong, I can't imagine it's very easy to yell at them for it. Especially the Jeff Goldblum one. How do you say that and not laugh?
Yeah, I mean, like most animals, when we're actually talking to her, it's just cat.
Yeah.
Like, hey, cat, stop it, cat.
Yeah.
And you always have, like, the goofy voices. I always talk to my dog Goofy, and I don't even call him by his full name. So, yeah, but that was awesome. That's the funniest thing I've read today.
was so
Fantastic
good.
donut.
I'm so glad I thought it was going to be a dumb question. Anyway, this is the proudest I've been all week. The big thing I wanted to ask you about, and we're going to talk to George Jonti later. You came onto a book that the whole like Buffy verse, especially after he started season 8, has, I think, a particular style. And looking at your art before you were on that book and after, I mean, it is still definitely you. But I think when you start having to draw those characters and you start having to have it fit into that universe, what kind of stuff did you pay attention to? Were there specific things that you saw him doing that you felt like you needed to try and get in there?
Yeah, a little bit. I definitely took some cues from George's and how he represented certain characters.
Yeah.
I'd seen his sketchbooks before, the sketchbooks that he puts together with all of his preparation materials and all the different likeness tryouts that he had to do. And so that helped a lot just to get an idea of how to represent the features of the actors in a cartoony way, but in a way that still conveyed their likeness.
Yeah.
And I think one of the reasons I was probably hired for it is because we have some style similarities already. Like Scott Alley was saying that he really liked how we represent the planes of the face with we kind of draw these funny little lines on our noses to show where the planes change.
Yeah.
Like where, like the top part of the nose changes to the bottom part of the nose. And he said, George's does that a lot too. So I think that we already had kind of similar styles.
Right, absolutely. Yeah. It just, like, when I look at the two, I think it shows how versatile you can be and that you can sort of adapt to that.
Yeah.
It was really cool.
Do you mind if I... Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, no, that's
Can I
okay.
ask a really quick follow-up question? Is it true you have to get the actors to sign off on a likeness? And is it a
Yes.
hard process? Or are they really collaborative? Or how do they go about doing that? Or is it their agents that sign off on it?
And if you're comfortable, has anybody not signed off on one of yours?
Oh,
No,
well,
I'm just kidding.
I can't really talk about ones that I haven't been signed off on.
Right.
But yeah, it can be a difficult process. It depends on the actor.
Right.
Some are very relaxed about it. I think they're just like, yeah, what are you guys doing?
Yeah.
This is.
To me, it'd be cool
this
that
is
you're in a
just silly.
comic book.
But yeah, I know, right? But some are very particular.
Right.
And I can't name names, but
Right.
But yeah, I've gotten pretty lucky, I think, though. With 99% of the likenesses, it's been a really easy process. But we just do one portrait, kind of like a pinup almost of them, and they sign off on that, but they don't have to approve it throughout the series. They don't
Right.
have to look at every page and
So once
check
you're
off
approved,
every-
that's it.
Yeah.
Once they approve that one, then you can. It doesn't matter after that.
Yeah,
It's not
yeah.
like every book has to sit on a shelf for a week
Right,
and wait
yeah.
for 7 people to sign off and say,
Yeah.
Cool. I feel like we talk so often in comics about what people are doing next, and I would like to hear some of your breaking in story. Like, when did you first get into comics, and what was the thing that was it Miss Marvel or was it DV8 where you were like, okay, this is really going somewhere. This is somewhere I can really flourish. When were you first into comics?
Didn't really get into comics until I started going to college for it, actually. I wanted to get into animation when I was younger, and I did an animation workshop in middle school, and I started to realize then that it wasn't really gonna be for me, because there's so much repetition involved in it, and I felt like it took all the fun out of storytelling. And by the time I got to college age, I think I really realized that I want to do something else that's similar but just uses different techniques, and it gives me more power, more control over the story. And I went to like a summer program at Savannah College of Art and Design in between high school and college, and I figured I'd try out the sequential art program just on like a trial basis during that summer, and I loved it. So from then on, that was all I wanted to do.
Very cool. Very cool.
When you draw, is it like when I draw? I like to draw like figures and stuff, but I find it really hard to draw couches and bookshelves. Is that a hard part to draw? I've always wanted to ask an actual comic book artist that, because the figures are the fun part when
Yeah.
you're drawing backgrounds and things like that. That to me, that seems really hard too, with the scale and making sure everything matches. And
Oh yeah, that's the toughest part, is just getting it all to fit into the perspective grid and line up with everything else. Like drawing the actual shapes of the furniture isn't that difficult. It's a lot of Google image searching and looking through catalogs and stuff. But yeah, backgrounds are pretty challenging. They're a big pain in the butt. That's why I think you'll find that most of us try to avoid them at all costs. We'll just do one panel with a background, and then the rest will be, really, really low angle, so all you can see is the ceiling or something.
But at the same time, it brings so much, because like one of my favorite panels of yours is in it's in that first issue when there's the girl with all the tentacles and stuff coming out of her. Obviously you know the art.
Yeah.
And that that room is so full that it feels like you're in somebody's living room.
Oh, thank you.
That if none of that was there, if it were just like, hey, there's this girl with tentacles, I'd be like,
Yeah.
it's good tentacles, but
Yeah. Well, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really obsessed with that kind of stuff. My parents and my grandparents are into antiques. I mean, like my grandparents own an antique store, and so I was always around in all these different styles of furniture, and I pay a lot of attention to that when I go into a house, and it says so much about the people who live there. So,
absolutely.
And that was supposed to be like a kind of a poor working class single mother and her child, so it needed to be a little ratty, like kind of secondhand looking stuff, and you don't even have to describe that in the script if you do the backgrounds right.
Yeah.
The reader can tell that just by looking at the environment.
So, but what was the thing that like you got hired for a book, and that was the time where you were like, okay, this is clearly going to work out. Like, they like me. When did you have that Sally Field moment? Or maybe you haven't.
Yeah,
maybe you don't know
I feel
how
like
much
I'm
we
still
love
waiting
you.
for that.
I don't know. Have you met Joss Whedon?
I haven't. No.
Oh, okay. All right. Maybe you haven't had that moment yet.
Yeah.
Then. All right. I thought that was a clue in of a shoe in of like, oh, well, if you've met Joss Whedon, then clearly you're there.
Yeah. I got a really nice email from him saying that he really liked the art on Angel and Faith, and that he was really happy with the series. So
cool.
So that was great. But I guess I kind of felt like that with DV8 though, because that was really big to work with Brian Wood on my second mainstream project.
Yeah. Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I alternated between just feeling like I had somehow gotten really lucky and I didn't deserve it somehow, to being like, wow, this is it. I'm actually on the right path. So
cool, very cool. Is comics the only thing you do now, or do you have a second job?
Yeah, just comics.
Oh wow, wow! Congratulations, good for you. I always feel like that's harder for artists because writers. Somebody like Robert Kirkman. I don't mean to throw him under the bus. Robert Kirkman can write a handful of scripts in a week, but the art takes so much time that being able to actually be that self-sufficient is a big deal.
Yeah, well, I mean, luckily we do get paid more than writers, so that helps a lot. But I also ink my own stuff, so that's supplementary income as well.
Cool.
So I don't know how I would have time to do anything else, so I'm glad that it does pay the bills.
Right, absolutely. You've got Magus and H2 Awesome over there on your booth.
Mm-hmm.
Talk a little about what Magus is and how people can find it.
Magus is a fantasy series that my fiancé John Price wrote, and with his friend Dave Norton, and I drew. It was published by 12 Gauge Comics. It came out about a year ago, I think. But it's about what happens when everyone in the world wakes up and everyone is able to use magic, and no one knows where it came from, no one knows how to use it, so it's just utter chaos. It's based on this idea that magic existed thousands and thousands of years ago, but that this group of high mages deemed it too dangerous, so they locked it away. They locked away the source of magic, and it busted open, but no one knows how that seal broke. So, and obviously we find out through the course of the series. But it is. You can find it at a lot of comic book stores. It was distributed through Diamond,
cool.
But it would be back issues by now, obviously. And but it's also available on Graphically, the digital
cool.
reader. Yeah,
very cool.
And you can read the first issue for free online.
Oh,
actually,
neat. Because you only have 3, 4, and 5 over there. So somewhere I'll have to find 2 then.
Yeah.
And next week you're going to be in Chicago. What's the deal with that? You're going to be in a gallery?
Challengers Comics in Chicago has an art gallery called Rogues, the Rogues Gallery, that's adjacent to it. And every month they do a different artist's a showcase of their original art on the walls. And they have an exclusive print made up, and there's beer and wine. And so the reception for that will be this next Friday.
Very cool.
This Friday, right?
Very cool.
I'm so confused. I don't know where I am.
No, we hear
Friday
you.
Because, the week ends today.
It's only Saturday, but this con has been a week and a half long.
Yeah.
Ryan, do you have any more questions before I do my last one?
No, I just, again, before you do the last one, thank you so much for coming by.
No problem.
Yeah, the book is amazing. And, your writer, Christos Gage, wrote Spider-Man, and I love Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So that was another reason I picked up the book. First it was the art, and then I recognized the writer.
Had you read Buffy comics before?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
That was the other thing I forgot to ask you. Were you into Buffy before you got onto this book?
I actually wasn't really. I had started watching season 1 because my fiancé is a huge Buffy fan. He was always trying to get me to watch it. But you probably
get my wife to watch it.
Oh, really? So you probably know it's kind of difficult to get people to get past season 1.
I usually tell people to start at season 2.
Yeah. I mean, now I love it going back and rewatching it because the characters, you already love them, so you get what the writers were trying to do.
And you know where it's going, so you can give it leeway when you're like, the computer's turned into a robot. Ah, man. Yeah.
But I was having a lot of difficulty getting into it. I think I was maybe halfway through season 1. But when I got the chance to audition for the book, then I started watching them, like 4 or 5 episodes a day. And I finished them up before I started on the series. So, but now I love them.
Oh, absolutely. You just brought another one to me. You auditioned for books? For some reason, I always had this idea that, you guys were out there, and if you got seen enough, like, Joss Whedon would call you on the phone and say, well, I guess that's what happened to George's, but, like, you just got picked based on what you've done. But you actually auditioned for the book.
Well, typically, the situation you described, that's typically the case. But with a book like this, and I'm not sure what they did for Buffy. I think that Joss had just seen George's stuff and just really wanted to work with him. But with this, I think because of the likeness element, they tried out with several people. I think a few artists that had worked a lot with Dark Horse in the past. I hadn't worked with them before, so I just knew them through. I knew Sierra through DC. Cool. I don't know exactly how many, but I know that there were multiple artists that they were trying out for it.
Yeah, and that makes sense because you can look at somebody's stuff and say they are clearly good, but
I hope so.
I'm sure.
I can live up to that.
Do you read comics at all?
Yeah. I mean, not as much as I would like to, but
What are you reading now? What's the stuff you really love?
What I haven't read very much lately. I was really into Lock and Key, and I think
Oh my gosh. It's his second favorite
Oh
book.
really? Oh
Well, no. See, you've revealed, because I keep saying it's my favorite ongoing. Lock and Key is limited series.
Right.
Lock and
yeah.
Key is the first thing I read on the stack.
Yeah.
Angel and Faith is right second.
I love Lock and Key. It's so great. I
Yeah.
think I might be a couple issues behind though because I lost
You
track
wanna
of
know
when
what
they were
happened?
coming out.
Yeah.
What are they up to now?
They just finished Clockworks.
Okay. I need to
So
finish the last
whole
issue
like
of Clockworks.
backstory is done,
Okay.
and then I don't know when the new series starts. I think it's late July.
Okay.
But then there's a one shot called Grindhouse coming out in August that you should definitely check out. The cover looks amazing. It's set in like the Depression era.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Oh.
it's one of the because man, his art every
Yeah.
time that cover comes out, I'm just like, oh, this is just beautiful.
Yeah. He's a master of detail.
Yeah, absolutely. I have to imagine it takes him forever to do those pages. But is there anything else that you're reading?
Yeah, that's all I've been reading lately. I've read most of Vertigo stuff, in like back issues.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I got into comics really, really late. So, but I started out reading Transmet and Preacher, and
Yeah.
I haven't really read much lately though. I've been trying to get back into reading books
I know.
because I hadn't read a book in 5 years.
I know that
I
feeling.
should probably get back into this so my brain doesn't start to atrophy or something.
I was an English major, so it was my job to read books, but I was not doing that and reading comics instead.
Yeah.
And I thought, I feel like I'm misprioritizing here, but yeah, I know it happens. It just gets so easy.
Yeah,
sometimes.
and drawing too for a living, you get so little time to
Yeah,
ever sit
oh,
down
I'm
and read
sure.
anything. It's just TV shows all the time. And
You can't-
I
because you
feel my
can't-
brain melting on my ears.
You can't get audiobooks of a comic book. That wouldn't.
yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you so much for coming by, Rebecca. This was really great. It was an honor
thank
to
you.
have you here. And again, thank you for coming to Denver. Hopefully, we will see you again next
Oh
year.
yeah, we will definitely be here next year.
Oh, very cool.
Awesome.
Very cool. Thank you so much.
Thank
Rebecca.
you.
I appreciate it. Oh,
What?
Oh,
Oh,
sorry,
yeah,
can you-
Ilya, is there anything else you want to promote while you're here before we take off?
Oh, actually no. I
Oh, okay.
haven't-
Because we talked about mages. Cool. All right.
Oh, well, actually,
Is there
one
anything-
thing, the very, very tiny thing. I just joined a sketch blog with a bunch of really amazing artists, including Sarah Pacelli and
Wow.
Brian
She's
Stegman
drawing
occasionally.
Spider-Man right now.
yeah.
It's amazing.
My friend Tony Chastain submits to it a lot. It's called Ashcan All Stars, and there's a Tumblr and a Blogspot blog.
Cool.
And you can follow us on Twitter too. It's just Ashcan All Stars, all
Absolutely.
one word.
Yeah, we'll have to do that.
We will.
Yeah, we do a lot of cool themes. We just got finished with an alien theme and then a breakfast cereal characters theme. And so this is,
Wow.
yeah,
Have you
something
talked
to check out.
Have you talked to Zach Howard, a couple of booths down from you,
Yeah,
about aliens?
yeah.
Because he did aliens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to show him what I did. I would be too embarrassed.
No. He'd be fine. He's a really nice guy.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Shoot, I just had another question and I forgot it. Anyway, thank you so much, Rebecca.
Oh,
it
thank
was
you.
really great.
Thank you. That was awesome. Thank you so much. That was fun. What was really cool is I think I don't know if I think I did tell this story on the earlier podcast we did, the Denver Comic Con one, but I'm going to tell it again because we just talked to her a month ago. We got there early the day of the Comic Con, and we didn't know what we were doing, and we couldn't find anybody. But in the process of going to find somebody, me and James split up. I went to look for the death of Gwen Stacy because there was no one there to bother me,
Yeah.
and James, I don't know where he went until we met. We didn't meet back at Real Nerds. We met kind of in the middle of the con.
Yeah.
And James comes up to me and he does this. I love James. And he does this thing when he's excited. He's like, "Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!"
There's some hopping and some like waving of hands.
And I said, "James, what the hell are you doing?" He says, "I just talked to Rebecca Isaacs and she said she'll be on our show." I said, "Wait, what?" And so he's like, "No, come meet her." And I said, "Okay." So before the con started, me and James then went to Rebecca Isaacs' table. She was there and she said, "Oh my gosh, I would love to be on your show. Thank you guys so much for liking my art." Couldn't be nicer.
Oh, she
The
was so
nicest
great.
lady. And while we were there, right next to her was Georges Jonti, who illustrates Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
doing nothing, just hanging out,
Just hanging
making
out.
his table, being cool.
And so we kind of just stepped to the left. And I said, "Rebecca, we can't wait to sit down and talk to you." And so we talked to George's, and we found out his name is pronounced George's John T, which we were always really concerned about.
Yeah.
And I made sure, too, when we were on the podcast, I said make sure I pronounced it right. And again, could not be a nicer guy.
And I kept thinking well, nobody's gonna want to come to our booth and do we're gonna have to do a mobile thing and try and figure out how to get a laptop working over there, and it's gonna be a hassle and not sound as good. And everybody didn't even skip a beat. They were just like, yeah, no,
Nope.
I can come over there, not a big problem at all. They were just so nice,
They were.
most gracious people they could be.
And, I mean, the story with George's John T, too, is we had him scheduled for Saturday at 3,
yeah,
but it conflicted with us doing Michael Uslan.
yeah.
So
I went over and had to tell him can we push it back? And then he had a panel, and then I went over and had to say can we push it back again? I felt like such a jerk, and he never didn't even hesitate. And he was like, well, do you want to come in Sunday morning? When you come in Sunday, can we do it at 9:30 on Sunday before the con actually starts? And I was like, yes. And so he made a point. He got there a little bit early and came over to the table, and we did it, and it was quiet. It was so
and it was
great.
awesome. And what's really cool with him is he sat down. He just started talking to us. We didn't ask him questions. He literally just sat down and started talking.
Yeah.
We even didn't have an intro for the first couple minutes of the interview
because it was just so comfortable.
Because it was so comfortable, and he was such a nice guy. And I mean, to be gracious, I mean, we're nobody, and I mean, he said, you know what, I'll make time for you guys, which meant a lot. And everybody who did interviews with us did this. But George's draws Buffy. He drew season 8 and 9. He does great work.
I said this to somebody at his table, but I didn't say it in the interview. He really redefined what Buffy art should look like.
Absolutely.
And if anybody else ever does this book or went on issues that somebody else does, you can kind of tell. And you can tell that they're trying to pick up his style.
It is. And you mentioned in the Rebecca interview she had to pick up what he already drew, and she said, well, we kind of had a similar style, so I'm sure that's what helped me get the job.
Yeah.
So he's defined the last 4 years of Buffy in comic books. So
Buffy's only in comic books, so
exactly.
He's defined the look of Buffy for the last 4 years.
So please, again, sit back, relax, enjoy our interview with George's John T.
So cool.
I'm going to do a proper introduction because
Absolutely.
we forgot to. Or we just started talking.
It was just so
we've been here
comfortable.
for hours.
It is. It's really comfortable. Well, this is Real Nerds. I am Ryan. This is James. And we are honored to have George's John T. Correct? Is that how you pronounce it?
Yes,
Good.
sure.
He is the artist of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, season 8 and 9 now.
And 9.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. It's cool to have you because me and James are huge fans. And
Absolutely.
to have you on
Oh,
here
nice.
is an honor. So we really
you.
appreciate it.
You were sort of you were that big name here that I was like, if we could get him, man, that would be so cool.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I'm sure all of this is recycled from
thank
Rebecca
you.
Isaacs.
No, it's not.
no,
No.
That's
There was a
today.
completely different love for Rebecca Isaacs.
Yeah, she's a lot cuter than I am. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
The thing with that, though, is the Angel and Faith book took us by surprise
Yeah.
about how good it was, where your book, we kind of
It's just
knew it was
consistent
gonna
at
be
this
good.
point. It's
And-
always good.
Funny enough, well, obviously before all of this ever got started, and we were still doing season 8, I was talking to Joss. He called me
Sorry.
up. I don't even know. I probably called him because I remember I was at lunch, and it's one of those things. My phone rang, and I'm like, "Oh snap! It's Joss. Maybe I should take this." and he's like, "Yeah, I just wanted to call. You call. I'm sorry I couldn't get back to you. I was just calling you back." And because I just had mentioned to him, "Hey, we're coming towards the end of season 8, and I'm just wanted to get a feel for you, what your plans were, what your future plans and all that with the comic stuff are. So whenever, give me a call. Hey, hope things are well." And then he does, and he was like, "Well, are you planning on coming back?" And I was like, "Well, are you planning on coming back? Because me coming back is really hinged on you coming back."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Yeah, no, I'll come back if you come back."
Wow.
I think you would have been doing this regardless of my involvement. And I can't remember where I was going with this.
Were you?
Oh, right. Because I just had said, well, I'd heard that there was going to be an Angel, that we're getting the franchise back from IDW, and he's like, yeah, we're going to do that, and we're going to sort of make it more cohesive. And but he didn't really have a plan for the Angel book. He knew kind of where he wanted to go with Buffy, and when I tell the story, I don't want it to seem like, oh, well, I gave him the idea and he just ran with it, because that's not the case. But as we were talking, he was like, yeah, I really don't know what I want to do, where I want to go, or a lot of the specifics about it. And I was like, oh, because I was still reeling over this whole Giles death thing.
Oh,
and I was
my
like, you have to involve that in some way, because you can't just have Angel have killed, spoilers,
Yeah.
so I'm sure you guys
Yeah.
you can't have Angel just have killed Giles and let that be the case. And he's like, well, no, Buffy is extreme. She can't even be with him. And in a weird way, that's what initiates Angel and Faith, because essentially Buffy has sent him away. Like, I can't even look at you, I can't talk to you. For all intents and purposes, you killed my dad, and all that. And that's why there's a page or two in the last issue of season 8, I want to say, where Faith and Buffy are talking, and the last panel of that is a close-up of Angel, and there's like cuts and bruises on his face, and you can only assume what happened, but there is a reason why that's the case and why he's almost catatonic, which I'm assuming will be dealt with in future issues of Angel. But because of that, he goes off into his own book, and obviously Faith now is rich and she can do what she wants. And he was like, yeah, I just don't know where to go. And I said, well, hey, you really need to do it. And he's like, yeah, maybe Angel tries to redeem himself by thinking he can bring Giles back. And I'm like, that's brilliant. Do it. Yes.
That is the most amazing thing, because that's what I love about that book, is that Giles, which was so much the heart of Buffy, is still even though he's dead, he is so the centerpiece of Angel and Faith.
So much so where I told him, you know what? That sounds great. I would love to do that book.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, so you don't want to do Buffy then? I was like, well, no, I'm just saying. Well, where would you rather have me? He's like, well, I mean, you do what you want, but I'd rather have you with Buffy over there. I was like, okay, but I knew somewhere in the back of my head, if this was pulled off right, this would be done very, very well.
Oh, man.
Christos Gage, obviously, who's the writer,
who's just been killing it.
It's just real, and it's surprising me because I wasn't as familiar with his work. And I think a lot of the problems, people coming over to the Whedon or the Buffy universe, whatever you want to call it, is finding the language to these characters, which, after 7 years, you all know. You may not be able to write it yourself, but you know what they sound like.
And very few people can write it.
And I thought with very few exceptions, we had a lot of the writers from the TV show coming and doing the book, and Brian K. Vaughan, who wasn't one of the writers, I thought really came in and nailed the dialogue, as well as Christos now is really nailing the sound of Buffy. And I was kicking myself thinking, God, I can't do 2 books a month. I can't do 2 books a month. And I thought, man, that's an ego. Like, hey, we're doing another book, and I'll do that one too. Sure, I'll run the whole universe.
And it's funny because Faith was always the character that never quite connected with me on the show. Like, it never. I don't know what it is. It was just
connected me in so many ways.
Well, yeah, but when Brian K. Vaughan came on the book, his arc was the one that broke that character open for me. And then Christos Gage just is amazing. What was it like to work with Brian K. Vaughan? Is where I'm going.
Great.
Were you working really close with him, or?
Yeah. I usually like to. I'm a very hands-on artist, and when I read the script, I usually like to talk to the writer to just say, "Well, let me get your thoughts. Where were you feeling emotionally?" Because you can write something down, but just like sarcasm, especially in texting, you really can't tell. Was this meant this way, or was this meant this way? So I really like to talk to the writers whenever possible. What was your intent? Where were you going? So I know how to illustrate that sort of thing. And same with Brian. And he came in. He's like, I love the universe. And he's like, I love the Faith stuff because Faith is from, oh God, and all these trivia, no prizes here. She's from someplace in Ohio or Baltimore, where the character
I think it is
Faith
Ohio.
Lahane is from, is where Brian K. Vaughan is from. He's like, I grew up there, so that's where the book actually opens, where she's from. And a little known fact, that storyline was supposed to be the video game originally, but never really got off the ground.
Wow.
Whereas somebody, Faith or Buffy, depending on what the video game would do, was hunting other Slayers because they've gone rogue.
Right.
And it never came about, but they shoehorned it into season 8. Along with, there was a sort of a cartoony issue with Mark Waid, I want to say. And that was an unfinished script for the cartoon, the proposed cartoon that never got off the ground either. So they were sort of recycling all of these things they were going to do with Buffy and just bringing them over into the comic book. But Brian K., I thought, was really, really great. And I can only assume he was happy with me because he's like, so what are you doing after this? Are you going to stay with Buffy? We could definitely do something. I was like,
and
I will keep your number, sir.
And now's the thing. He's back in comics again. Now's your chance. That would be too cool.
I know. Yeah, he was just at that point going off and writing.
Doing Lost and all
for
that
scripts and doing Lost stuff. So.
That's too cool.
Yeah.
What was it like? So you were handpicked by Joss to do Buffy, correct?
That makes me sound so much better than it actually is. I will say, and I guess I'm so self-deprecating, I can't ever really give myself a compliment. I will say I was on a list of people that Joss put together and said, if we can get any of these guys, I would be really happy.
Yeah.
I don't know where on that list I was or how far down they had to go until they got to me. But yes, he knew my work. I want, obviously, because Joss is a big comic book fan.
Oh, yeah.
I want to say either from Gambit or from Bishop from Marvel, because I know he was more of a Marvel fan growing up than a DC fan. And impressed the hell out of me. He's like, no, I remembered your stuff, and I thought when it came, I don't know how he would think Bishop and Buffy could ever be correlated. That guy would be great for this book.
Yeah.
So that was, I was handpicked by Joss Whedon. Yeah.
And when that happened, because we talked yesterday to Rebecca Isaacs about how when she came onto the book, what she has to go through in order to turn those actors into those characters, and the process of getting them approved by the actors and all of that. How long was that process? Was it hard?
No. Well, I mean, and I hate to rip down the curtain and show the guy behind the curtain and doing all of the mechanics there, but it's an approval process. Yes. Did I believe for 1 minute that Sarah Michelle Gellar was actually looking at something I drew and said, I don't know if this guy's right. Let's see. Yeah. I more akin it to an office at 20th Century Fox, and whoever that licensing manager is, he looks at it and says, okay, this is approved, this isn't approved. I know all of the actors on the TV show, they have signed a contract that said something about merchandise rights and likenesses. Whatever they did, whether it be action figures or toys, whatever, comic books fell under that umbrella as well. So they signed off on that already. And with the comic books getting the likeness rights approved, it's more of a thing. I guess they really just want to see that you don't draw her with a third eye or something. Or, just something so far off the mark where you're like, did we approve this, really?
Yeah.
Like Dawn with the half horse body? Or
Exactly. That comes later. That having been said, once they approve you, you're good to go.
You're good.
It's funny, they can't ever say anything again. So I can ideally draw Sarah Michelle, any way, beautiful, but then, God, give her a black eye the whole time once I've been approved because, they can't really say anything. And this was the first time in Season 8 that Joss was actually involved, funny enough, in the comic books. Because he had only ever really done Frey and then a story in Tales of the Slayer. But he'd actually never been involved in the comics. And Dark Horse had already been publishing it for, 5-6 years at that point. And from there, I assume that, they figured if Joss is involved, I think he'll know enough to go, well, this is right and this isn't right. So they were very lenient, I feel, with me.
Oh, okay.
But I did have to go through an approval process, yes.
I heard you talk to somebody yesterday about the fact that, because Buffy is a very iconic character, a feminist symbol for sure at this point. And somebody said something about making her boobs bigger, and you made a point about no, there were specific things that they told you that was one of them that you couldn't do. Was there anything else that they were like, hey, don't mess with this?
In terms of that statement, I think she was the woman who said that was assumed that once Buffy was turned into a comic book, her breasts would automatically get bigger,
which is a horrible stigma of comics. Yeah.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
And no, that was Joss's thing. Well, Joss is always like that, but he's if he's anything, he's about diversity, and because he'd said, all right, when you draw, I don't want them all to be perfect. There are some heavy girls. There are some obviously black, Asian, Latino, whatever, we're putting in there. There is a diverse group of things and women in there.
Yeah.
So don't stay idealistic. Yeah, I'm a very big believer in, well, if this is what the character looks like, why would you change? Right, where Buffy wouldn't have gotten a boob job done
Yeah.
in between season 7 and 8.
Yeah.
So I tried to keep her as very much the same character as she was on television.
Were you into Buffy beforehand? Like, were you into the show and all of that?
No, I was, like you said, she's such an icon. I was aware of her from pop culture. I'd never seen an episode, to be honest. Well, I saw one episode when it was in the run, and that was the John Ritter episode. And I only saw that because I was a John Ritter fan.
Oh, man. A horrible way to get introduced to the show, though.
Probably, yeah, not one of the better episodes.
Yeah.
But I was like, okay. Whatever,
Yeah.
It doesn't really do it for me, but hey, whatever. The funny thing there, too, I've never seen Xena,
Oh, yeah.
the warrior princess, either. So
But that episode does actually kind of make sense, because where I was going was that part of what I think makes your art so perfect for the book is that your style is perfect for balancing the humor and the action and the drama all together really well, especially the facial features. And I just thought I assumed that you had seen the show and knew it so well because you translate that so well.
Well, once they gave me the gig, they sent me season 6 and 7.
Oh, okay.
So my introduction to Buffy actually is season 6, where she's actually reborn in a weird way, and then going on through season 7. So I wasn't really aware of any of the other stuff. So it's funny because those first few issues of Buffy that I drew, had I to do it over again, I would have done it a little better, I think, because there's all of these little nuances I could have stuck in that I just was not aware of.
Yeah.
Because I was really starting to draw the book before I was fully immersed into the universe.
Yeah.
So I wasn't really as versed with that. But I quickly got there. On my own, I went out and got seasons 1 through 5. And just had a huge marathon, and
Too cool.
and then Angel, and then all the other stuff.
Do you have any more Angel or Buffy questions before I move on?
No, I mean, you pretty much covered this. Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. No spoilers then. Cool.
Yeah.
So what's
I
happening
don't-
in the future? What's going
Hey,
on?
no.
The facial expressions, when Buffy's dreaming about having sex with Spike while she's talking to him on his ship. I love that whole interplay with him. Oh, it's great.
Yeah.
It is.
Well, I'm no Kevin McGuire, but yeah. I try to. I mean, I went into acting a little bit in college, so I try to have the characters act. And when you do take acting, they tell you, always have a prop, or always try to have the character do something and not just stand there per se. So it's been a conscious effort of mine to, like you mentioned that scene, like Buffy's drying her hair as she's doing something, or doing just something that might not necessarily be in the script, but as an actor, you're kind of like, well, what's my motivation here? What am I doing? What can I do in this piece? So I'll try to do that more often than not.
Yeah. When you were into comics as a kid, correct?
Yeah, sure.
Pretty young?
Always. Still into comics. I'm at the store every Wednesday. Anybody wants to come by.
Yeah, I might just drive across the country to do that. That
Come
sounds
down
amazing.
to LA. We hang at the comic shop.
So tell me about Daredevil 183. I've never read it. Why is that issue important to you?
And I know I've said
Frank
that.
Miller's
Yeah,
Daredevil
yeah, yeah.
183.
Why the 183? Oh, because that was the first Daredevil I picked. Is that what you read?
I believe so, yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Well, you did do your homework.
I don't know when I had time.
That's a long,
but-
boring story. You don't want to hear that.
Well, no, at least some
Maybe-
idea of where, how did they connect to you? Why were they so important to you as a kid?
Maybe
and
more
how did you
a
find yourself
condensed
doing
version.
that?
I grew up in Miami Beach. I went to.
Yeah.
It's funny now. I went to Miami Beach Senior High, which sounds like 90210. That's not a real school, is it? So every day, and this is before. Now we're so hyper aware of things, and this was before I understood that comics came out on Wednesdays, or they might not have even come out on Wednesdays back then. But
Yeah.
I would always go by this little this drugstore back in the days when they used to have drugstores, and they had a spinning comic rack in the back, and they sold comics. And of course, the guy who owned the place didn't really care about comics, so there were maybe 3 or 4 months of comics just sitting in the rack. And as an avid reader, I was really into stuff, and I was just a huge Fantastic Four fan, and by extension, a Thing fan. So all of those titles, that was it. And I was just very snobby about going anywhere else. And at that point, Daredevil was this character, but he was still such a second or third stringer. And you're like, I don't know about Daredevil. I maybe want to get into this X-Men thing. I hear that Wolfman and Byrne are kind of good at it. Yeah, but I don't know if I want to really get into that. Out of sheer boredom, one time I keep going to that damn drugstore and there's nothing there. So I'm like, all right. And actually, along that line, I found the Teen Titans as well when Perez and Wolfman were doing it. I picked up a Daredevil issue and 183. I can't remember what the cover was. I think it's Daredevil being shot by the Punisher. And I thought, well, okay, that's weird. Marvel wouldn't do that. They shouldn't do that. You have your two characters fighting like that. And I bought it and thought, all right, whatever, I'll go. And I mean, it opened my world. Frank Miller opened my world to what storytelling in comics were. I was still in high school, and I thought I might want to do this, but I mean, not artistically. Everyone says, "Oh, well, he's not as good," and I grant you that. But storytelling, the guy just blew me away. I was so immersed in that book. I quickly went to the same drugstore, and because he didn't care about his stuff, he had 3 or 4 back issues. Oh, wow. So I was catching up on Miller's Daredevil and just, again, I thought, it's almost like you find religion. Like, oh, my God, there is something bigger than me here, and I can actually get it every month. Or at that time, it was coming out bi-monthly, if I'm not mistaken. So I caught up quick and had to wait, anxiously for the next issue, and that just blew me away in terms of storytelling. I realized comics aren't just that cool, hey, maybe the Hulk and Thing will fight each other. Now it's like, this is socially relevant. This can actually move me. And it's funny, I later, when I started doing comics with another friend, we found out we had the same interest in that. You know how you quote movies, you're like, we're going to need a bigger boat, or, that's no moon, that's a space station, whatever. We found we were doing that with comic books, and we found we were doing that with Miller's Daredevil, because I think I met him once, and he came up to me, and he said, well, can I go to help you out and do this? He's like, you are an idiot, and I do not employ idiots. And I was like, oh, my God, Wilson Fisk said that to this other character in Daredevil. And he was like, how do you know that? And we just bonded from there. So
that is too cool.
A totally irrelevant story, but that's why 183 is so important to me.
Well, now I know more. I can go and add to your Wikipedia page.
Which is what you guys do that? You sort of quote movies and
all that.
Yeah.
We have a podcast where we do that. That's what we do.
I have the best story for that because I'm like that. And then as I elevated in the business, I became part of Gaijin Studios, which was at the time Adam Hughes, Brian Stelfreeze, Cully Hamner, Tony Harris, Jason Pearson. The cornucopia of amazing artists.
Yeah,
and. As geeks, you sort of you quote movies, whatever, and you sort of try to outdo one another.
Absolutely.
And so we're doing that. Sort of digressing a little bit, that same friend that we used to do that, he prided himself on this sort of thing. Oh, my God, ad nauseum, he prided himself. So one day he comes up to me, and he says, hi. And he's like, where's that from? I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Where's that from? Hi. That's from every movie that ever came out. What are you talking about where that's from? And he was just that obscure. And, of course, he has this smug-ass look on his face that, oh, no, I thought you were one of us.
Like, I got you.
I got you with hi. And I'm like, no, that's bullshit. I don't know.
Oh, no, we're explicit.
No, you're good.
Yeah,
it's the internet.
So flash forward years, I'm sitting with Cully Hamner, and we're having very much the same conversation because Gaijin love to do that as well. And I'm like, oh, my God, yeah, but I had a friend who came up to me one day and said, hi, and he said, where's that from? And Cully, straight face, looked at me and go, oh, yeah, that's Superman, Lex Luthor. I'm like, how the hell do you know that?
Wow.
And he's like, well, it was the inflection, the way you said it. I'm like, you know what? All right. There are geeks, and then there's just another level that I obviously will never be a part of. Because my friend had said that to me, too, after I said I didn't know where that was. And he's like, well, if you're in the know, you would have known. And I just wasn't, so.
Well, it's a group you will always be welcome in, that's for sure.
Which is funny. Years later, not to digress anymore, but I started going out with a girl named Lois. For 6 months, I was in Superman heaven because I was looking for ways to quote things from the movie. And my biggest get was like, I like Pink very much, Lois. And there was at one point in those 6 months that I nailed it. I actually got to say, I like Pink very much, Lois.
That's too good. That's
awesome.
too good. And then eventually she saw the movie and was like, everything he's been saying to
I
me
know.
for 6 months.
There's no...
This is the most
sincerity behind it at all.
uninteresting. Yeah. Actually, I should have just been stating Superman this whole time. You've got a book you're doing with Jane Espenson that's online only for Spike, correct?
That we did, yeah. I did that a year ago. Hasn't that come out yet?
No, I think it comes out in August, right? Because
I
it's
think
on
so, yeah.
it's on Marvel Previews right now.
Yeah.
Or not Marvel Previews, but
previews. Yeah.
Previews. Yeah.
And I'm trying to remember the book. No, that was... Yeah.
Jane Espenson online only book. That's what I know. And it's
Wow.
Spike. And it's
Yeah.
not out yet.
Is Buffy involved, or...?
I don't know. I haven't read it.
Oh. I mean, I only say that because Jane and I did work on quite a few things.
Oh, okay.
So I'm assuming that was the case, and Dark Horse loves to do that stuff way in advance. I did that
Oh,
free
okay.
comic book day, last year.
Maybe
Yeah.
they're finally just publishing it.
Probably.
It
Yeah.
was online, now they're publishing
Do you remember one that was online? Because my question was going to be whether or not that was a deliberate decision on your part.
They never tell me, no.
to
that's-
talk about
that's
doing it
Dark
online
Horse.
only.
Yeah, because they, obviously, as the world of comic books progresses,
Yeah.
we are going in the digital age.
Yeah.
And Dark Horse more and more is trying to
Yeah.
attract people, which I think is a good idea. It's
Oh,
sort of
yeah.
attract people to the digital age and saying, here, these are things you can only get online. Just like Joss's, what was that? He was the band he did the story with.
Oh, Dr. Horrible.
No, not Dr. Hurl, but the
Oh.
other one. The about a band of characters who played in a band. And that was only available.
I have no idea.
Yeah,
I have to.
Eventually came in Dark
forget
Horse
this con.
Presents, but yeah, it's Joss Whedon and somebody Bell, a European artist, and it's pretty good.
Oh, wow.
But it was online only.
Yeah, shoot, I'll have to find that.
Yeah.
yeah.
Because it's interesting, especially now when an Avengers movie can make 150 or over $1 billion,
Yeah.
and then comics is still kind of trying to find its footing, even though that's where all of these characters grow from. Like it's hard. Like it's got to find some way to bring more people in, and if digital is that,
Yeah,
But
totally.
if that wasn't your choice, then that question was just stupid. The way
No,
that it is.
I mean, I'm work for hire. I like to. I
Yeah.
would love to say, oh yes, they don't make a move without me and Joss. They have to approve it between the two of us.
Yeah. Well,
No, not the
they
case.
might have approached you and said like, hey, "This is what we want to do," but
They'll
they
do
didn't.
say we're still trying to figure out where to put this, but we do know we want to do this, and
Right.
especially with people like Espenson and Andrew Chambliss, who's doing Buffy now. Those guys only have certain windows because their real job is writing Once Upon a Time or other
Yeah.
films and things like that.
Yeah.
So we really need to get them when we can because we know we're the low man on the totem pole in that priority level.
Yeah.
I mean, and I say that, but you talk to Jane, and Jane's everybody who's come back who wrote for the show didn't come back for the money. They came back for the love of the characters.
Right.
And that, I think, speaks volumes as to what Buffy does.
You can tell too when you read the stories in season 8. Like they have such the voices, and it's people who love the characters.
Oh, yeah, it resonates.
It resonates because even in the Tales of the Vampires and Tales of the Slayers, when they first got into it, it feels like home when you're a fan of the show, and it's really cool.
And it hurts when people will come up to me and I'll ask them, "Have you read the book?" No, I really don't know. I don't read comics, or even worse, somebody told me I don't know how to read a comic book.
Oh.
And I'm like, wow, this is what they give kids. How can you not know how to
Yeah.
read a comic book?
Yeah.
And I wish that comics were of a more legitimate stature so that
I agree.
when something like this is done, it could be maximized more than I personally think it is being right now because
Yeah.
people still look at comics as being the redheaded stepchild,
I agree. Yeah.
just a step above the romance novels or something
Yeah.
like that.
Which is crazy because especially like you hear about how short people's attention span is
I
now
know.
and all of that, and I think, well, then you should be reading
You
comics.
should be reading comics
'Cause
every day.
I don't have time to read. I was an English major and I don't read books anymore. Like that's how crazy it is.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. Do you have obviously you do Buffy every single month, and
I
that
try
I'm
to.
sure takes a lot. Yeah, that takes a lot of your time. But is there anything else that you're working on that you've got in the pipeline? That
I wish.
is
I
coming
mean, I
out
wish I
soon?
were a faster artist that I could do maybe two books a month or something like
Yeah.
that. I am friends with. I will say that doing this Buffy thing, I've become friends with a lot of the actors and writers
Oh, yeah.
of the show. And I was doing a show at one point, and that's how I actually became friendly with Felicia Day and did some work with her Guild book.
Yeah.
And in the same token, I met Claire Kramer, who was Glory on Buffy.
Wow.
And she and her husband were starting up a website for geek culture. And they just sort of asked me, hey, would you like to be a part of it? We want sort of a really cool art element. And Claire is very business savvy. And she's like, well, obviously there's me, that I'm associated with Buffy, and you're the Buffy artist. So it was a no-brainer that I called you and said, would you like to be a part of it? And these guys, I think they just recently went live last month, and it's called geeknation.com.
Oh, cool.
So I'm
Very cool.
casually affiliated with that right now.
Very cool.
Awesome.
But that's it. I hate to tell you, I'm on Buffy for another year. So that's... I live, eat, breathe Buffy.
Yeah. And then there's certainly a lot of it left. So I shouldn't ask you whether there will be 11,
I have pictures,
but I'm pretty sure.
Of Xander and Spike and Angel on my wall, and some people will come in my room going, do you like these men? Do you really like these men?
Well, they are very attractive.
I will say I've got posted on my wall Illyria right now.
Oh, yeah?
But I won't go any further than that.
Oh, man.
Snap.
Hey, unless you've got anything else, Ryan?
Oh, that was an amazing ending and teaser.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
I don't know where
George.
she's going to come in, but who knows?
It'll be a flashback or something cheesy. I'm sure.
I'm sure.
Don't look for that in the main storyline at all.
No.
Well, thank you so much, George.
Yeah, we
that was
really appreciate
amazing.
it because
Not at all.
Again,
Yeah.
thank you for coming to Denver.
This was great. Yeah, I'd definitely come back. It's a
Good,
good show.
good, good. Because next year it will be bigger for sure. We were not
Good.
going to let this die. I mean, you've seen the lines outside. People
Yeah.
were hungry
Oh,
for
yeah.
a con like this.
Very
'Cause
cool.
We're in the desert. We can't even drive to a
I noticed
con.
coming from the airport.
Yeah. Yeah, you're like, wait a second, did I land in Denver?
Where is everything? Did a bomb go off recently? No.
All right. Well, thank you so
Thank
much,
you so
George.
much.
My
We
pleasure,
really
gentlemen.
appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
He was cool, man.
Man.
It's just one of those guys you just meet and you're just, this guy is a cool guy.
And it was one of those things where I thought, like, going to bed Friday night knowing, like, oh, man, I lined up these interviews on Saturday and I was going to talk to these people. And you sit down and you talk to them, and it takes 2 seconds before you go, these people are so comfortable and real. And George's was the same way. It was like, oh, this is, I don't have to be afraid at all. Like, there's nothing to be afraid of.
Like I said earlier, he just sat down and started talking to us. It wasn't all that, that awkwardness. And I mean, not to toot our own horn, but, we knew a lot about him before he even sat down. So it was really comfortable. It was easy to talk to him, both of them. And even our next interview is with Zach Howard, and he is super talented, too.
He was 2 tables to the left of George's Jaunty, and of course I talked to him after that.
But we should also mention that you met Zach Howard at Starfest, their little Comic-Con they had there. And you just started talking to him about how great his World of Warcraft art. StarCraft art was, and from there you actually got his email and you emailed him and he said he'd sit down with us. So he was really the first one who agreed to talk to us.
This is true, yeah.
And again, he sat down and he was so cool too. Just the
and
nicest guy.
Even as tired as we all were, because it was at the end of, like, literally the con was over and we were doing this. I think you can even hear some of that in the podcast.
Actually, I think though that we got really excited talking to him because it is hard, and I appreciate everybody who sat down, and it's hard to constantly do interviews, and I feel bad for those guys because for him, he's drawing sketchbooks, he's doing commissioned work, So for him to sit down at the end and say, I'll make time for you guys, and I'll be on your little podcast that could, was great.
Yeah,
and so
cool.
Zach Howard, he does a lot of covers for IDW. The Turtles one, just I mentioned it earlier, and
when I met him at Starfest, like, it was that first moment, because Starfest was the first con I'd ever been to, and I walked out of this room and there he was, and it was like this moment of, like, it was like a starstruck kind of moment.
Was.
And I ended up having Brad take my picture with him, and afterwards I thought, that was weird. Like, the fact that I asked to have my picture taken with this dude who doesn't know who the heck I am, but he was so nice about it, and
Well, too,
I was afraid that he was
you
gonna
left
be like,
out
no,
the
I don't
middle
wanna
part
hang
of
out
that
with
story
creeper again.
where you walked by him and you said, "Oh my gosh, that's Zach Howard.
Yeah.
I should go say something to him."
Yeah.
I said, "Just say it. He's just hanging out. He seems like a cool." And we found out he lives in Colorado.
Yeah,
and he's
a local.
He's
dude.
a local artist.
That is so cool.
even better. So a local, well-known, established artist.
So if you're somebody in Denver who's listening to this, you definitely should be picking up the cape
should.
and reading the stuff that Zach Howard does, because
it's awesome.
Yeah.
Here's his interview. Awesome. Welcome to Real Nerds. The final interview of Denver Comic Con 2012 is with the incredibly talented Zach Howard.
Hello.
Zach, we can call you Eisner nominated Zach Howard, can't
Yes.
we? Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What book
for,
of yours was Eisner nominated?
the Cape One Shot was nominated.
Yeah, first
for,
issue.
Oh, wow.
Best single
First
issue of
single issue,
2010.
yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Now, when the Cape is written by, or the story is by Joe Hill.
Yes.
And the script is by
Jason C. Morella.
Okay, I didn't want to.
They work close together too. So.
Oh, really?
It's not like they're forever apart and don't
right.
talk.
Yeah. I wanted to make you say it because I didn't want to look like a fool trying to pronounce his name.
Yeah, C. Morella. Yeah.
When you got signed onto that book, was the one shot the only thing they had scripted out, or was
Yes.
the whole run already sort of planned?
No. Chris Ryle's a good friend of mine, and I don't know what his title is at IDW right now. CEO, I don't know. Publisher. He jumps around. He's the big fish there. We did Shaun of the Dead together, and we've always been looking for another book to do, but I'm always busy. He's busy, blah, blah, blah. And he asked me if I wanted to work with Joe Hill, and I was like, yeah, I'll do a book. And I had no clue what it was. They sent me the script, and I was like, yeah, I'm on board. Had to take a pay cut, but good friends, and I wanted to work with Joe Hill. But about 3/4 through, everybody knew something special was happening, so they basically decided, let's finish the story. Let's see what happens to this character. And they had ideas, and they worked it out. We negotiated a miniseries contract, and there you go.
Cool. I know that they're making a 1969 sort of spin-off after this, but you're not doing the art.
No, I'd already sold my other series that I'm my creator-owned series.
Right.
So I'm doing covers for it.
Oh, okay.
But Nelson Daniel, the colorist I work with, he's drawing it. He already has 2 issues done. They're gorgeous. The story is the origin
of the Cape.
Well, it's his father, and you find out how the Cape
got to him.
Got this power.
Oh, cool.
Oh, very cool. So we'll get to Wild Beyond in a second, but is there anything in the pipes that is as far as like a sequel book, anything to follow it up? Because one of the things that I think is really interesting about Where We Leave, I don't want to spoil it because it's amazing, but we get left with the sort of a very interesting creation of a superhero that I don't think I've seen before. Did you see the movie Chronicle?
Oh, yeah, it has a kind of a similar feel.
That similar ending where I feel like this guy who didn't really want to be a superhero is left with some powers that he could do something interesting, and he has a backstory that is totally different than anybody. Like, his motivation would be different than any other superhero. Is there any work to
Honestly,
go anywhere with that character?
He burned the Cape. It's gone.
Oh, that's right, he did. Shoot. Crap. Well, we'll cut that question out.
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe
we'll stitch it together from the ashes.
I don't know.
Dang it.
Superhero
well, maybe he'll
spirit,
have to find another
but,
one. It's still. I was so excited by the end.
It's pretty final, the ending. So not that I'm aware of. That's why we did the prequel, because that story still needed to be told. Why is the Cape? Why does it have powers?
That's right. That's
right.
So the cover arts for Wild Beyonder is coming out, and that's what for the next year you're just going to do cover art pretty much, and then Wild Beyonder comes out
just to stay relevant. I'll jump around, do different covers, wrap it up Godzilla right now. I will be doing a run on the Judge Dredd covers up until Wild Blue comes out in May next year, and that'll be monthly, and then I'll just be promoting that. And so,
tell me about what is Wild Beyonder about. It looks like the coolest sort of pulp kind of cover I've ever seen.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
What's it about, and who's writing it?
It's Mike Raich is writing it. He is the writer of The Stuff of Legend. He's a New York Times bestseller, ex-Marvel editor. We did a Marvel book together, and that's how we met years ago. And he pitched me this idea, and we've been developing it. It's basically best way to describe it is if Mad Max was made by Miyazaki. That's the best way to describe it, and that's what I was drawn to it. It's the post-apocalyptic. It's in the sky with planes and stuff like that. I made them retrofitted World War II planes because I just wanted to draw World War II planes. So they're futuristic World War II planes. And but it has a strong young female lead, which I think is missing in most comics. They're usually sluts and punching people. This is actually a real tangible girl, like a Miyazaki story, where he always has young female heroines, in life struggles. And I really wanted to do that, and that's when Mike pitched it to me, I was like, oh yeah,
that sounds
right
amazing.
up my alley.
really cool.
Considering that we spent the last 2 days talking to all the people who draw for Buffy, that's exactly where I would want to be. That's so cool. Drawing the art for a book like that must just be amazingly fun.
Yes, I
just
get
to be that creative.
Get to draw dog fights and like a dog with goggles. So it has everything. The two things with dogs that I love.
Yeah, following up on a book where, spoilers for the Cape, you got to drop bears on people.
Yeah,
I mean,
a grizzly bear.
You have some of the most fun drawings.
That was the most interesting scene I've ever drawn in comics.
It's one of the most interesting scenes.
I will challenge anybody to come up with a better death scene than that.
Oh, it's unbelievable. You were signed on at some point to do some work for StarCraft on a StarCraft book. I would like to just know, what was the story on that? What was it going to be, and what did it turn into?
Well,
just because I'm a huge StarCraft fan. So.
Yeah, StarCraft 2, the video game, was close to release, and Wildstorm contacted me about doing a 100-page hardback, just graphic novel of StarCraft. Original story, everything, with some female ghost or something, a new ghost or something. I guess you might know. I don't know it very well. Correct me if I embarrass myself.
You're right.
But, anyways, so I signed on. I'm like, sure, that's perfect. I want to do a beginning, middle, end stories. I don't like monthlies, and I just can't get into it. So anyways, said yes. I did that pinup just kind of for promo art for Blizzard or whatever and Wildstorm. And like 3 months later, they still had no contract for me. And at the time, I think DC was deciding what to do with Wildstorm. Like, are they absorbing it? Is it going to be a separate company? And that's why the contract took a while. They're good people. It's just I had to move on. I got bills to pay. And eventually, I think it happened because...
It did.
Okay.
I have the issues,
okay.
Because as soon as you started describing it, I was like, oh, yeah. No, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but I mean, I had to sign on to something else, and I don't know what I did. Probably something for Marvel. I don't know. But that's what happened. No bad blood or anything, or no drama. It's just I think Wildstorm was in a upheaval at the time, and they couldn't get the contract to me fast enough.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
and it's a shame because the art that you have put out for that, the little bits that I've seen, it was amazing. Like,
well, thank you.
Just even to compare it to like the concept art that they do for the game, it was like. What I dreamed that a movie would look like. It was
well.
Beautiful.
I apologize.
No, it's okay. No. Yeah, thanks for crushing my dreams, Zach. It was so good.
Comic books are really fluid.
Yeah,
and I'm a freelance guy, so you got if you don't get me a contract, I got to move on.
Yeah,
and no bad blood. It's business.
Oh, absolutely.
So I apologize.
How long have you been into comics? Was it since you were a kid?
Oh, of course. My dad, I was a military brat, grew up all around the world, so. I just had like D&D books and comic books, and I used to buy those little grab bag comic books where you didn't know what was in it from like Marvel's, like 3 comics, and it'd be like X-Men, Spider-Man, and like Captain, Fart Man or Turd Face or something like that.
It'd always be some random one.
Some super crap they're trying to promote. The like Dazzler's friend or something like that.
Sparkles.
Yeah, Sparkles. There we go. Glitter. Anyways. So I'd buy those and, fool around. So, yeah, since I was a kid, I didn't get serious about it till I was 25, though, or about 24.
And that's you mean as far as reading it or starting to do the art?
Get in the industry, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
but you were drawing before that?
Yeah,
of course.
Well, like any kid does.
Yeah. You didn't just jump in and be amazing from the beginning.
It's like, wow, you just started drawing when you were 25?
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Well, that's when I started trying, I was a potter at the time, and I made a decision I was going to try and get into comics, so I picked up the pencil again, and 2.5 years later, I was drawing Hellboy, so...
oh, wow.
So we're really jealous of you because you're incredibly talented artistically is what you're saying to us.
It's not magic, man. It's just determination.
Yeah.
That's all it is. You got to put the calories in. You got to be focused.
Yeah.
Set your ego aside, know what you got to do, what you suck at, and make your weaknesses your strength.
Absolutely.
Sounds like hyperbole, but anyone can do it. I promise you. I
was going to ask you about D&D, but now I have to ask you, you were a potter?
Yeah, for 5 years.
How'd you get into potting?
when I got out of the Marines, I was going to college, and I wanted to take art and drawing and painting, and I signed up late, so all that was left in art was ceramics. So I'm like, whatever, I'll take ceramics, and I'll make some pinch pots or some crap. And I don't even smoke. I'll just make ashtrays for other people or something. But so I did it and ended up falling in love with it and became very successful at it and made a lot of money in college at it. Paid for a car, for my future wife's apartment, everything like that.
Wow.
But during my thesis year, I had to take either watercolor or illustration, my final, semester to get my degree. And I was like, I've done watercolor before. I'll take illustration. And, I always loved comic books and always fooled around, had fantasies when I was a teenager, be a comic book artist. And my professor had drawn a couple issues or an issue or something of like Aliens or Aliens vs. Predator. And he saw the stuff I was doing in class and asked if I'd come to a con with him. And I could sit at his table or whatever and show my stuff. And I got just the little crap I'd done for the class. I got a good response. So I asked at the time as my girlfriend, but we're moving in together, going to get married. It's like, is it cool if I try this? Try to do this. Yeah. And I have a very good wife. And for 2.5 years, I made like nothing, but then boom, suddenly it happened.
Is he how you got into Aliens? Into
no, it had nothing to do with it.
Okay.
Nothing to do with it.
Just a coincidence.
Yeah. So
cool. Oh, what kind of D&D were you playing? Were you playing Thwacko?
I have no clue.
Advanced Dungeons and Dragons?
Probably not. I was pretty young. I'm very, very subpar intelligence. So
I don't trust that.
I don't even know if we're playing it right. I don't even remember. But we had a lot of fun.
Good. That's what it's all about. What's the stuff you're reading right now? What top of your stack? When you can.
It honestly, I usually just get comps now, so I read whatever's given to me, and every once in a while at a con, if I hear about something or buddies doing a kick-ass book, I'll pick it up. But I'd say American Vampire's best book out right now, Schneider, and Albuquerque's good, and Sean's run was wonderful on it, so I got to see him while he was doing it and everything like that, so that was cool. I just reread Preacher.
I'm right on the edge of doing that myself.
Oh, you have to. Wow. It's been since it finished. I haven't read it again.
Oh, really?
And it was always my favorite series. And now that I'm a professional, like a veteran storyteller, I get to really see the nuts and bolts of it. It's been really fun. I respect it in a whole new way. And I'm rereading Gru, all the Gru from the beginning on.
Wow.
It's one of my all-time favorite series. Basically, Gru and Preacher. It's pretty pathetic. I have no clue what's going on. I'm sure half the characters are gay now. I don't know. It's I never read. I seldom read superhero stuff.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, I quit drawing superhero stuff for a reason, But any indie crap that my wife picks up or whatever. But for new stuff, I'd say American Vampire, anything Sean's doing. Sean Murphy, you should probably say. People don't know.
People don't know you're at the booth right next to him. Yeah.
Yeah. We've been buddies. We were good friends before we were both even pros.
Oh, wow.
He came to me for a portfolio review, and I wasn't even a pro, I was like, and we just would see each other at every con, and we'd start going to the parties and going to cons together, and we just became friends. Next thing you know, we're working at Vertigo together, doing the same book, and all that stuff. So, and then we did a series together, and so it's been fun. Wild ride. He stayed with DC, and I left DC and did the indie thing.
Yeah.
So,
and his art is just as amazing as it can be.
It's the best there is.
Well, before we let you go, you're a local guy.
Yes.
So I have to ask you, how has this con been, and how excited are you for us to have something like this?
I was worried. Couldn't have been better. Best first con I've ever been to in any city, much less Denver. Couldn't be happier.
Yeah.
15, 20-minute drive, and I'm at a decent mid-level, very decent, a good con, and people are eager, excited. Everybody's in a good mood. Pretty good organized already, and it's the first year.
Yeah.
Hasn't been a cluster F, and which I was expecting.
Yeah.
Just a good vibe. I loved it.
Cool.
Couldn't have been better. Could not have been better.
All right. Well, thank you so much for dropping by, Zach.
Yes, sorry.
I am sure we will see you next
Normally I
year.
have a lot of dick jokes, but it's the end of the day. I'm a little tired. I sound like a rock star now.
It's okay. It'll just make you sound
so
really
dick
impressive.
joke. Insert a dick joke. Just pretend I said some.
It's too hard for him to think of a dick joke right now.
Yeah.
Seriously. Oh, that's too hard.
There we go.
Thank you, Zach.
Zing.
Thanks, Zach. I appreciate it. Man, that's
Take care,
awesome.
guys.
Thank you. Boy, I hope you guys had as much fun listening to him as we did conducting him.
Oh, man.
Because it was
unbelievable.
Those are highlights for me of the con. Besides doing the James Marsters panel, I mean, that was a little more impersonal because, he was the one running the panel. I really didn't do anything.
Yeah, exactly.
But to sit down and actually ask him questions and for them to be engaged, and again, they didn't have to be.
Yeah.
They didn't have to take time. And it's not short interviews. I mean, they sit down and they talk to us for an extended period of time.
Yeah.
The only one that's short is our one we did next week with Michael Usla, and that's because he was so popular he had to do like 2 more panels.
Yeah.
And so, again, I can't thank these people enough. I can't thank Denver Comic-Con enough for giving us the opportunity and for them naming us the official podcast of Denver Comic-Con. That's awesome. And for people to sit down with us, professionals, and so we can gush with them and not to treat us like we're fanboys, which we are, don't get me wrong.
Totally.
But, even Rebecca was saying she was nervous coming over because she didn't know what she was getting into with us. And that she sat down and she says, you guys were prepared. You guys were so nice. It was just cool to hear her say that, and we really appreciate it. And that they came over to our booth was just really cool.
Yeah.
And I think it helped that we designed a really cool booth. Brad with the awesome banner and stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And
a whole lot of good work. And of course, he's not in any of the interviews, but he is the interviews only work because he was there running
just
all
because
of the stuff
you don't
and
hear
making sure
Brad,
that-
it doesn't mean he's not doing something.
Yeah, the fact that you hear us in the midst of all of that noise
I coached a few
is because
questions.
of Brad.
You can't see the hands.
Yeah, that's true. There were a few questions that came
like,
directly from Brad.
ask him this, ask him this.
Yeah.
Brad. Yeah, exactly. You didn't hear him, but he did a good job when we were sitting down to help with questions that we might have skipped over. And like I said, you wouldn't hear any of this. It won't be posted anywhere if it wasn't for Brad. So just because you don't hear Brad doesn't mean he's not working.
Absolutely.
Even when he's really quiet like right now. He's still doing something. He's listening to us babble.
I think he's just making a popping noise with his mouth. That's all it is.
Yep.
Yeah, I play with my tooth. I'm sorry.
Wait. We'll talk about this after we're done. I have to know what the fuck that's about.
So anyways, thank you, Rebecca, Georges, and Zach. I really appreciate it.
And make sure to tune in next week for Michael Uslan as well.
Yeah,
with
the
Dark
Michael
Knight
Uslan one.
Rises.
I was going to tease it. I told Brad we should put a little tease for it, but the interview is 12 minutes? Something like that.
15, somewhere around
So
there.
we didn't want to just tease it because it's I'm not tooting my own horn, but it's a good interview. Because
good stuff in
and
there.
it's not because of me. I seriously just asked him a question, and Michael's so good at telling stories that I wish I could have him on for hours.
Yeah. Well, next year we'll have to make that happen.
Yeah, we'll see if we can set aside time for him next year.
We heard him at the Mile High Comics auction, and then 2 days later at the panel. And even though he kind of went over the same stories again, it was still fascinating to hear him tell them.
Yeah, because he still had the enthusiasm, and that's why his book, The Boy Who Loved Batman, is so good, because his passion for it comes through. For someone who's had the license for 33 years now, to treat it as well as he did was great. It's a tribute to him, and it's so cool that he invited... I can't get over how nice celebrities were there. I really can't. Even James Marsters, who I met before the panel, was the nicest guy. He was funny, and he told me I could do whatever I want up there, and I told him, I said, no, it's your panel, it's for you, and he said, actually, it's for the fans. So things like that is really awesome. So thank you, everybody who sat down with us. Next week, we are seeing The Dark Knight Rises. It'll probably suck. Brad's really not looking forward to it.
Yeah, it looks terrible.
It looks terrible.
I wouldn't even know, because every time a trailer comes on, I stick my fingers in my ears and close my eyes and shake my head and say, banana, 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 like a poor, sad special kid.
So stay tuned for our review for that.
None of that's true. I wasn't excited. Maybe the closer we've gotten, I'm just like, it's getting there. It's like the nerdiness is taking over. Like the anticipation is just like it's finally getting there.
During Spider-Man, before it started, I'm like, how long are these fucking previews?
Yeah.
God damn it.
We have to watch a Twilight preview? Are
Yeah,
you
exactly.
freaking serious?
So I get really antsy because I want to see the movie so bad. And The Dark Knight, quite not as much for me because I'm not as big a Batman fan, but I loved I love the Christopher Nolan Batmans. So to me, it's starting to get that way. You start feeling it. You start
Feel it.
you can taste it.
And like I'm trying to avoid trailers and TV spots, but they come up and I just
You have to.
all the things I think that I thought were going to be in the movie keep getting confirmed. Like the fact that I think it's a Nightfall No Man's Land crossover, and then recently I'm starting to think it's part Dark Knight Returns too. So
So it's really cool. And what makes it even cooler is we talked to the executive producer, Michael Uslan, was on Real Nerds Podcast. He will be on here next week. So please stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for our review of The Dark Knight Rises, which will probably be a damning review. Just kidding. It's one of those movies is going to be good.
Yeah. How can
You
it
just
not
see
be?
it and you know. So remember, you can follow us on Twitter, real_nerds. You can also like us on Facebook, Real Nerds Podcast. You can email us directly, realnerds@gmail.com. We have a website, realnerdspodcast.com. You can also call and leave us messages, 720-6nerds5, and we will play you on our show, like we did Mark Wahlberg last week. Just stay tuned for that. Also, we will most likely be at the Denver County Fair, August 10th through the 12th. You can also look forward to seeing us at Mile High Con sometime in October.
We're going to do something with it, that's for sure.
Yeah, if we can't get a table, we will be represented there somehow.
Yeah. It'll at least be like we were at Starfest, where we'll go
Absolutely.
and talk about it later.
we want to be the official podcast of Denver County Fair, and we also want to become the official podcast of Mile High Con. So,
and remember too, if you like these interviews, we do have a bunch of interviews with fans from the Denver Comic Con. So go back and look at the last 4 or 5 episodes, and each one has an interview with fans.
My goal is actually to be the official podcast of Wahoo's Fish Taco. So Michael, owner of Denver Wahoo's Fish Taco franchises, give me a call.
Awesome. Also, we did a contest during Comic-Con where if you put your name in a hat, we pulled your name out, you won a prize. The Blu-rays that we had set aside, we emailed, and those emails came back as not real emails.
they've gone unclaimed.
So I'm going to dig in the hat right now and pick out, oh my gosh, it's Reggie from Reggie Rex on Twitter that had the Comic-Con showing. You won a Blu-ray.
He was so awesome.
He was cool. So Reggie, please email us your address. I'll also tweet it out, Reggie, so you can email us. And let me pull one out for the other Blu-ray. It's Alex Sullivan. Sully, wow, I met you at Mile High Comics. You won the other one. So please, Alex, email us.
Email us which one you want, Dark Knight or Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, whoever emails us
gets back
first
gets the Dark Knight.
Gets the Dark Knight or Sherlock Holmes. They're both really cool, though. They're really cool
they are. Those two
Blu-rays.
ones are great.
They're the collector's edition. So Sully and Reggie, thank you so much for stopping by and meeting us. You guys won the Blu-rays. And this
being
was
awesome.
not rigged at all. I pulled these names out of the hat.
All our credibility is out the window.
Hey, I gave him opportunity.
This is true.
Yeah. 2 other people had a chance to get those Blu-rays
Yeah.
fair and square, and they ignored us, so we'll give it
I don't
someone
like
else.
being ignored.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
Batman.